Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and I'm here today at the Sisak Municipal Museum in Sisak, Croatia, taking a look at an assortment of improvised firearms from the Croatian Homeland War. Now, it is interesting. During this war, the Croatian forces were armed with everything from the crudest of homemade single-shot weapons like these, all the way up to excellent factory production small arms, both from Croatia and from all over the world, things that they were able to import. Especially early on in the war, it really was just a mixture of everything in use. So improvised stuff like this was made all across the country, but what we're looking at today, because this is the Sisak Museum, is sort of the Sisak terroir of improvised firearms. So let's take a closer look and go through what each of these are and give you an idea of the sort of guns that frankly have been made in this area for a very long time and came to light during the Homeland War. I want to start with this guy because there's some cool, interesting, specific trivia behind it. But first is, of course, a single-shot break-action shotgun pistol. This is specifically chambered for 16 gauge. See, we have an extractor there, manually cocked hammer, very stiff trigger. You know, it's your very basic single shot break action gun, which in fact 3 of these 4 are. What's neat about this is the barrels were all made, and there were a bunch of these made specifically in this area. The barrels were all made from the central bar of the steering wheel of the Zastava 750, which was a licensed copy of a small Fiat car. And as it turned out, that center support bar in the steering wheel, the inner diameter was precisely identical to 16 gauge shotgun shells. And in fact, 16 gauge was a more common cartridge in this area before the war than 12 gauge. In the US, we always think of 12 gauge as the standard and 16 as a weird aberration. Well, over here, 16 was very common. Not everything was actually completely homemade, of course. This is a BSA manufactured Lee Enfield, which the stock has been cut off of, and the front wood all completely removed. Rear sight would have been out on the front of the barrel. Just simply cut down to be portable, concealable, and useful in limited situations. This is the classic Enfield Obrez. That name always gets associated specifically with World War II and Russia. Or perhaps World War I in Russia? I guess I'm not entirely sure where people usually use that term, but it applies basically everywhere across the planet for the last 100 years where people are looking for improvised firearms. Rifles are often available from military forces. Cut them down and you get a 5-shot repeating pistol of some dubious but definite use. Next up, we have another break-action 16 gauge, this time a full-length, very full-length shotgun, and this one appears to have actually been made on a proper break-action shotgun barrel. The receiver itself is fabricated, and it's been put together with an underfolding stock. It looks like some of the parts for this stock come off of the Yugo M56 submachine gun. Not quite all of them. They've been modified a bit. I think, obviously the idea for the underfolding stock is twofold. One is to make the gun more compact, but if compactness was all that you wanted, you could leave the original stock and cut the barrel down. But what you also get with an underfolding stock is the fact that it's cool. And all of the cool guys running around with cool guy guns have underfolding stocks. Therefore, your gun ought to have an underfolding stock on it as well. So on this guy, we have a lever here, which is actually the direct lock. On that pistol, the lever pulled a spring out of the way. This has, it's a little hard to, you can just barely see it right there. That bar is specifically what actually locks into the barrel to hold it closed. And again, exposed hammer. This one has a much nicer trigger for what it's worth. On the stock, you push in on, lock that up, push in on this side, and that pin comes out of the receiver and allows it to fold up. I've saved this one for last because it's the coolest of the bunch, I think. This is my favorite here. This is yet another break action gun. So we have a button on this side that allows us to pop the action open. But this was actually made with an M70 AK barrel the rear sight from said M70 and the front sight. So if we look closely here, we can see that a couple of the places where there would be gas ports or cross pins have actually been welded up on the barrel. There's one, and there's one right there. We have the remnant of an original barrel marking right there. That's been fitted to essentially the locking block of a single shot rifle action. And it's still chambered for 7.62 by 39. That was obviously a very common cartridge during the Homeland War. Oof, man, and the hammer on this one is really heavy. In fact, there we go. The hammer on this one only wants to come back that far and drops like so. So the stock is not an M70 stock, but it is clearly profiled to look like one. We've got a little bit of a rubber butt pad screwed onto the back there. Of this whole batch, I think this is definitely the most practical, most useful of these guns. I'd like to give a big thanks to the CSOC Municipal Museum for having the opportunity to bring out these and show them to you guys. It's always interesting to see what what some of the unique elements are to this sort of firearm in different parts of the world. So if you're ever in CSOC, their museum is it's kind of a cool assembly of everything from prehistory all the way up to the modern day. Stop in, have a look. Thanks for watching.
Вечер. Вечер, вечер, вечер. Hello. The fuck is this? Oh, okay, fair. Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. That was fair. Shit, accidentally opened Paint. I just came home. I literally just came home. I haven't even had time to check if everything's working. Okay, nice. I started the stream, came home, started the stream. That's it. That was the story for today. So, hey yo, how are you doing? Planning to do a bit of chaos week this week. Bit of chaos. I'm not entirely sure what I'm planning for tomorrow. We're having a village fair thing. Village fair thing soon. On Wednesday. That's the first. So I'm not really sure what I'm planning to do in preparation for that one. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Basically, I'm planning to keep on surviving this week and to see how it all goes. That's as much, to be honest, as I've pre-planned, looked into this whole thing with existing in the next few days. But yeah, came home a bit later today. I was outside the whole weekend. It was fucking great. Didn't follow the news almost at all. I understand some of the Discord conversations we had were about, the amount of depressing news we have. Can't really fix that. I'm feeling quite depresso, so I can't really be, showing too many positive news. It feels a bit fake. But we will try. Okay, we will try. From what I have noticed, what was the new article? I did see most of the Discord messages, so I'm planning to look into a couple of related news to that. Also, I really want to talk about the UN resolution. Skade, Nikki, Grisha are happy. I'm not entirely sure about those fuckers in the first place. I don't know if they have a brain to know what's going on. in danger of sounding a bit too hateful of, how three idiot musketeers. I haven't really seen too much brain power happening in their chats recently. The first time we were quite depressed here on the stream, I was like, shit. If someone from Skades is here, they're going to report back now and they're going to be like, ha ha ha, hey guys, who the pro-Western people are very sad and depressed. But now, actually, they're still eating their usual shit. I'm kinda, I don't know, a part of me is like, must be nice to be them. It's like you get your plate of shit, you're gobbling on it, that's it. I don't know if their worldview depends on how the situation in the world proceeds, or if they're just like, you know, just floating in something. It's a weird little way to exist. But I haven't seen them being too happy. I don't know what it is with them. I do see them being very hateful though. I'm guessing they're doing the... I don't even know what that is. There's a word for that. What's the word for that when people do it on Twitter? Rage baiting. I feel it's rage baiting mostly. I feel if they allow themselves to be happy, their audience is gonna run away. I don't know what else could it be, my dude. Like, look at the world. Look at the fucking world. Look at the state of the world right now. They could be chilling, you know, they could be chilling. They could lean back in their chair and be like, my guys, look at the genocides happening right now. We should be happy. But instead of being happy, they're still bitching about the left and the West and the global homo. It's like they operate on just hating everything. I don't even know if they love Russia. I've been seeing them talking about stuff recently. I'm not even entirely sure if they love Russia or if they just like hate everything else. You know what I mean? Like, is it love for Russia, or is it just hating the West enough? I'm not sure. Talked to a Serb today, talking about that. Talked to a Serb today. He told me Westerners love Nazism, so that's why Westerners support Ukraine, because Russia supporters hate Nazism, right? I go, okay, what's the ideology of Rusisch? He goes, well, what does it matter what their ideology is? For sure it is not the global homo ideology, the Satanism, Sodom, Gomorrah, whatever the fuck. I go, okay, what is the ideology of Rusisch? Why did you ask me the same question again? Just like, come on, just acknowledge it. Talking about that, did you see Dagestanis? Because Dagestanis are protesting. Dagestanis are protesting not against the war, not against the mobilization, not against the fact that statistically they are the region of Russia from which the most men have been turned into a zip file. Dagestanis are protesting because they hate Jews a lot. So they went around Dagestan searching for Jews. There was a plane that landed, and they went through the plane and they went through people's documents to try and find Jews on the plane. Dagestan is doing big bad protests trying to find the Jews. In those protests, we've seen the videos, there's been a few videos on it. Could I find those? They're like beating on police cars and everything, my man. They're protesting like normal people. Dagestan seems to be like one of those parts of Russia which actually has people with balls, despite the fact that, you know, it's still Russians and they're still a bloodthirsty and they still support the invasion. Very obvious they support the invasion at this point. But hey, it was the only region that protested against the mobilization, I'm pretty sure too. So it's something. It's something. It counts. Markov, who recently complained that there are too many Jews and Armenians in Russia's state media, blames Zelensky for organizing last night's pogrom in Dagestan. Oh yeah, they blamed Ukrainians for the situation in Dagestan. These people with balls will storm Avdiivka in a week's time. To be fair, I'm pretty sure Dagestanis are like genuinely used as cannon fodder. I'm pretty sure Dagestanis are like not getting it. You could see them as part of storming Avdiivka, because they're probably going to be one of the first lines intended to soak up as much ammunition as possible. I would guess on that. But as far as I've seen, Russian opinions of Dagestanis isn't really good. It's like Russian opinions of Chechens or of Tuvans. Or of literally anyone they're sending to go and die in that war. A bit more than, you know, the average amount. They hate all of these fucking republics. They hate themselves. Wanted to see if there's... Oh, Defense posted a new video. Haven't seen this one. Haven't seen that one. yet. Hey, yo, Kim, how is life going? How are the news? Wait, I saw Discord, but I was driving. People in Germany are pissed off that Germany abstained from the UN resolution. So do Germans think Germany should have refused it? Because I keep on explaining. I made this stupid ass mistake where I told people in my workplace that I'm actually like kinda into reading about politics. So now they come and ask me stupid ass questions. And the whole day they kept on being like pissed off that we voted against. And I keep on trying to explain to them, you know, what UN resolutions are. People don't know what UN resolutions are. But it's surprising that Germany is like on a completely other side. It is nice. Germany fucking based. No, it's cowardly written. They haven't condemned Hamas at all. They have not called hostages. Not a word. They call for release of civilians. They don't mention them as hostages at all. Why the fuck do they? It's like such a cowardly, stupid resolution. I'm almost pissed off it even passed. The only reason I'm not fully pissed off is that I'm kind of interested to see what happens. Nothing will happen probably. I'm just interested if something happens. But man, such a cowardly piece of writing. And then Canada tried to introduce an amendment so it would actually be condemning Hamas crimes, and it didn't pass through. The amendment was just flat out refused. It could have been a proper resolution and it wasn't. Not like it has any effect. Yeah, I've learned people don't know. They legit think, I've heard the opinion today, that no matter the words in the resolution, we should have voted for it, because voting for it means a ceasefire will start. And the sooner we all vote for it, sooner the ceasefire will start. So like more lives would be saved. And then we can fix the rest, you know, after the ceasefire is already on. And I kept on like having to repeat that no. Like these words, the words in the resolution, that is the only thing UN offers, nothing else. UN doesn't actually offer you a ceasefire. UN gives a call for a ceasefire. The resolution calls for it, but the resolution passing doesn't mean a ceasefire will start. That's not how it works. But people legit don't know about this. Several times heard people comparing Israel bombing of Gaza to Serbia bombing Vukovar. So I had to explain that no, Croatia, surprisingly to some, never sent a group of people into Serbia to butcher Serbian civilians and then let those same people into Croatia to hide behind our civilians. Like, so many stupid ass fucking opinions. I believe most of them on Twitter though. I genuinely turned anti-Twitter this weekend. And I tried to use it the least amount possible. And I turned anti-Twitter. I hate Twitter. I think it's rotting people's brains. Russia would already be gone. I wish. I fucking wish. Man, just goddamn weirdos. What is this? Internet provider blocked Twitch to decrease piracy? Does it work? Do you feel less like a pirate now? Why would they block Twitch out of all the sites? Why Twitch? What does Twitch have to do with piracy? Israel's plan to cut off North Gaza from the south and go in from the seaside to have Navy support? The whole thing with bombing Gaza, I'm not sure it's going to have any sort of a effect on the existence of Hamas. It seems like an ineffective way to fight a terrorist organization. I'm not really sure though how they think cutting it in parts is like the whole thing from the start. The whole thing has been rather confusing for me with like calling civilians to evacuate. Gaza is really, Hamas is really interconnected with the society in Gaza. Aren't they just going to go with the civilians? Because you can't destroy the organization, right? You can destroy their hideouts, which I could assume that if they know where the hideouts are, they're going to destroy those specifically. But like, you're not going to destroy the organization. Why is there a G-Dragon hashtag in my trending? What did he do now? I want to open it in a new tab so you don't have to look at my K-pop shit. They're going in on the ground. Do you think it's going to be successful? Because for me, it sounds... I don't know. I don't know if that's going to do anything, really. Tape a song of the radio to show them what more. Do it like in the old times. Burn it on a CD and then give that CD to someone. What else would I do? I have no idea. I have no idea. I genuinely have no idea. I don't know what they should have done. I don't know what the best course of action should be. I know they must respond because Hamas attack was obviously a terrorist attack targeting civilians specifically. You must respond to that. If you do not respond, which is what you did, by the way, with that cowardly resolution, but if you don't respond strongly, if you don't respond properly, you're basically just, appeasing the terrorists. You really want to do that? So I understand that, I understand Israel has to do something. I just can't imagine an option that is going to work. Like, I don't know. I don't know. When I go like, oh, I should think of an alternative, I don't know what an alternative should be. I don't know if there is an alternative that's going to be successful. I have no fucking idea. I imagine someone from Israel would have thought of it already. Or at least one of those, pro-Palestine, anti-Hamas people. I'm sure they would have had an idea. I've seen zero ideas. I just reload the website until it works. Okay, fair. That sounds like them being real shit at their job though. Nice. Impressive. It's like how in Croatia we had anti-piracy stuff? For a while there was a whole political group and they wanted to make piracy a punishable crime in Croatia. Like they would track if you pirate any movies, if you pirate any songs, And they had a website. And when you open the website, I don't remember exactly the image, but basically you open the website and you see the name of the political party, and in the background there's some painting. It's like painting of a forest. I remember it being a forest, lots of trees, there's sunshine in it, really, really warm, really, really pleasant looking. But basically it turned out that they stole that image that they used on their website. They just stole it from some random ass artist, never asked for a permission. So they were threatened that, they are going to be the ones sued, and all the newspapers, all the news portals and everything quickly carried the news of like, oh, look at them being anti-piracy but stealing a painting for their website. And never heard from them since. Like, I never heard from them again. So that's kind of cool. Where was I on this? It took a whole week. Yes, took a whole week. They were waiting for me. Was I a bit late? Maybe. I want to have an excuse to talk about good news sometimes, okay? And I feel that having a birthday is kind of, excuse good enough. people who have never seen a Jew in their lives are now sending me Rothschild conspiracy theories. I talked to a man. I had the dumbest conversation on Twitter. I talked to a man. Fuck, where would I find the specific one? Need to find media. Basically, he sends me a bunch of those low effort, extra low effort memes about why Jews are bad. And the memes are like, oh yeah, Christians and Muslims are actually, oh, it was somewhere up there. I think he deleted his posts. But the memes are basically, oh yeah, Christians and Muslims are very similar people. And Jews actually don't fit into this. Jews don't fit into this like unity of our religious nations, right? It's like those, think of those very, very edgy memes, like there's a black background and there's like red letters, you know, stuff like that, just bad edits and whatever. So I respond to him by being like, yes, are you aware that the same argument is being used by people who are Islamophobic? The same argument that Christians and Jews could coexist, but Muslims can't. The same argument is being used by these people. Like, you're just using the same dumbass arguments as everyone else is. You just don't see it. And he sends me more memes with the same exact thing. It's like a Jewish person, and then there's a quote, and it's them saying something hateful. So I'm like, yeah, okay, let me show you what I mean when I say same stupid arguments I used on the other side. And I go to Google and I literally type in anti-Islam meme and I screenshot the first like 4 or 5 that I've seen. I send them. I'm like, dude, like, you see, same shit, and literally same shit. Like, I'm not even sure if some of them were not made by the same person, because the font was looking equally shit. Everything was like shit made. And he blocks me. He fucking blocks me. He wrote something, I saw it from my extra account later, something like, how was it? Oh yeah, you can't just like look at those memes without looking at the context of every quote, which was also ironic because he didn't look at the context of his quotes. It was such a stupid goddamn thing. We will look back on all these privacy rules and be baffled as to why we were stopping people sharing information. Oh, that too. Elon made a good decision with the community notes. Yeah. Like, what was it? You're not getting cash money anymore if community notes prove that you've been saying dumb shit. Which is a big piece of news. Actually, I wonder if Hinkle was already crying about it. By the way, did you guys see Neifo posts about Hinkle recently? Because before Russian invasion on Ukraine, before he became a little grifter, before he bought himself that Russian slut to play the role of his fiancée, Hinkle was crying a lot about not having any cash money and about not being able to pay rent. He was literally making no money and then he decided to become a grifter. Just cool little lifestyle to be leading. It's a 22-year-old, by the way, 22 fucking year old. But yeah, I'm very, very happy about Elon's decision because some of the biggest accounts we are seeing right now are gonna go poor. At the same time, I'm not happy about him not removing them. Personally, I would respect it if he would just remove them. Or at least put, you know how it was like Russian state-affiliated media? You know those? I wish there was a tag like that to be like unreliable. Just be like unreliable. His girlfriend? Hey, I don't remember her name. But if you look her up, you will be able to find a link, archived link to her profile on an escort site. Actual link. I thought it was a screenshot. I was a skeptic about it for a long time because I've only seen screenshots. There's a link to her profile actually, so there's always still a possibility someone else made a profile in her name, of course, if you want to be charitable, but why would you be charitable to someone banging Hinkle? Come on. Doesn't even make sense. All three are Abrahamic faiths. I'm not sure people are aware of that. I'm not sure people really know how any of that works, to be completely honest. Even then, I'm not sure how you respect Christianity and Islam, but you kick out Judaism, which was the start of all three. A part of me is like, okay, I understand when Christians are kind of angry about Muslims, theologically, right? I understand it. I could see that because, it's like with Jesus, that was the end. And then, you can't add new prophets after him. You can't add add Muhammad. It doesn't count. No. We're waiting for Messiah to come back and that's it. You can't be adding to the lore. I could see that, but like the fact that you think Christians and Muslims can coexist, but Jews can't? How do you do that? Yet to see someone claiming Muslims and Jewish people can coexist, but not with Christians. Oh, that would be lovely. Oh, that would be like the ultimate anti-West thing. Because most Westerners are Christians, right? Oh shit, if these people weren't so anti-Semitic, that would make for a great conspiracy. Hey yo, we sell white, blue, white for political prisoner day. Is it political prisoner day? Political prisoners in Russia stage 1 day solidarity hunger strike. Oh, cute. Man. National Candy Corn Day. They can eat candy corn, I guess. They can eat candy corn. It's something. It's something. It's something. Yeah, but sure, we can do white, blue, white. What's the official name of it? Like of Russian anti-war opposition, which, by the way, I don't believe exists. I just feel kind of dishonest putting it on without making sure to remind you that I'm a skeptic about the Russian opposition to war. I think it's like Serb opposition to which it's one of those things that like everyone's sure is happening somewhere, but no one really has seen. Jesus and Muhammad are not part of the lore, sorry. When you think about it though, I don't know how much you've looked into these religions. But like Christianity makes no fucking sense. Out of these three, Christianity is the one that makes no fucking sense, right? Because Judaism is like, here's the lore, and then at the end of the lore, we are waiting for Messiah to come. And when Messiah comes, he's going to be taking the souls and he's going to carry them to heaven, right? Or to hell, wherever they belong. Seems cool, right? And then Christianity comes in and they're like, oh yeah, we were waiting for Messiah and he actually came and then he went back and now he's coming again. Like, I don't know about you, to me that's kind of stupid. And then for Muslims, it makes more sense. Genuinely, it makes more sense. Because it's like, oh yeah, this wasn't actually a Messiah, it was another prophet. Jesus was not a Messiah at all. He was just one in the line of prophets and we're still waiting for the proper Messiah to come. I feel like Judaism and Islam both make more sense, lore-wise, than Christianity does. Christianity makes no fucking sense. Messiah came and then he left. Like, what? What do you mean? The fuck do you mean? But yeah, my opinion on Russians doing a hunger strike for 1 day is the same thing as my opinion on Russians doing protests, which is the same thing as Russians paying quite a lot of cash money to pay for a Free Navalny hashtag on a building in USA, which is that they are doing, they're letting off the steam. They're letting off the steam. That's what I think they're doing. Russian society is like, grrr, I'm so angry, I want to do something against this war. And then Navalny comes in and he's like, guys, you know how we're going to protest the crumbling situation of Russia? I'm going to not eat for 1 day. And then all of Navalny's supporters are like, yeah, this is going to change the situation. And then he doesn't eat for 1 day, and everyone feels like they did something. Yeah, like detox. They feel like they did something. So then for the next month, 2, 3, whenever you ask Russians, hey, what did you guys do? What did you guys do to stop this shit from happening in Russia? What did you guys do about your political prisoners? They're gonna tell you, oh yeah, Navalny didn't eat for 1 day. Even though it did nothing. It did nothing to damage Russian regime. It did nothing to help save the political prisoners. It did nothing, literally nothing. They're going to feel like they did something. Same as with their protests when they, walk around a little bit and that's it. Prancing around in Moscow, holding little handies, dancing around on city squares against mobilization. What did that do? Nothing. They did nothing. But whenever you ask Russia now, hey, what did you guys do against mobilization? Well, we went out and we protested very bravely. Come on. Oh yeah, Jesus was chill. That's it. Jesus was chill. Muhammad was not the Messiah either. Yeah. Because Muslims have this view that they are still waiting for a Messiah. So Jesus was not a Messiah and Muhammad also was not a Messiah. They're all prophets. They're all prophets coming after prophets. So I think that's GG. I think that's GG. I think that's really, really, really cool. A dobry wieczór. Milov's documentary on Russian opposition in the noughties. Well, yeah, I wanna know how that goes. If you watch it, let me know how it is. 1 day hunger strike. We go 30 days hungry every year during Ramadan. That isn't even a protest. Maybe you actually are protesting, you just don't know it. The whole myth about Russians can't protest, blown away. To be fair, I have a theory. I got a theory. Maybe there's a possibility, because they do have quite strong state police, right? It's like what Yanukovych had. He sent state police on Maidan to attack the protesters. There's a big possibility that they are allowed to do whatever they want as long as the regime itself is not endangered. So it's like you're allowed to even attack police cars as long as the regime itself is not endangered. Then that brings the question of like, why were they allowed to be cheering for Wagner though? And I'm not really sure. But also Dagestanis did protest. I think it's important to remember that Dagestanis did protest against demobilization. The Dagestanis were maybe the only region in Russia who did proper protest against the mobilization. Didn't help them because the rest of Russians still see them as cannon fodder. Wagner took Rostov. Dagestanis are hunting Jewish people. Putin is a Jew. Oh shit, Dagestan is gonna be that. That's what it will take. They're going to take years of him doing genocides, attacking other nations, invading them, fucking having to buy bread on credit because an average Russian can't buy bread anymore. But the second they hear he's actually a Jew, they're going to storm that palace. Priorities, my dude. Can you be led by a corrupt piece of shit? Yes. Can you be led by a genocidal warlord? Yes. But a Jew? Inexcusable. But yeah, Navalny tortured a little bit, got completely cut off communications, even through lawyers and other stuff. Oh yeah, Navalny, I think there's how to say it. There's Navalny, and there's Navalny team. One of the biggest tragedies that the Russian opposition is living through is the fact that while they do have some people you could call opposition to the regime, not opposition to Russian imperialism, very important to acknowledge. Navalny does not oppose Russian imperialism. Navalny is another player in the game of Russian imperialism. He's just losing, but he supports the game. Now, a tragedy is that while Navalny himself is at least trying to be another player in Russian imperialism and he's trying to oppose Putin regime, his team is not. His team, and I fully stand behind this, Navalny team is okay with Navalny rotting to death in jail. Navalny team, if they had a chance to save him from jail right now, they would not do it. I despise every single person in that team, his family the most. I hate his family. It's one of those situations where like a parasocial relationship with a person you don't even know is so strong you can absolutely despise them. I think Navalny family are one of the most despicable groups of people existing. They are doing nothing. They are doing fucking nothing. When you think of other situations, think of situations in your country right now. Right, where you had people who were unfairly put in prison. Think about what their families were doing. Think about how they were talking about this. Think about how desperately they were trying to release these people, how many petitions they were writing, what they were attempting to do, how many protests they were raising in a country. Navalny team is doing fuck all. Navalny team doesn't care. Their only source of income comes about softly reminding people Navalny is in prison, but never actually doing anything about it. Which is why, for example, they put a Free Navalny hashtag on a building in USA. They do Free Navalny hashtag on Twitter. Do you think Russian regime gives a shit about Twitter, what's trending on Twitter? No one cares what's trending on Twitter. They do nothing of value. They do nothing of use. They'll be bitching about, the aid we give to Ukraine. They'll be bitching about the fact Ukrainians didn't help Russia protest in 2000s. They are ridiculous. They do nothing. They are doing absolutely fuck all. They're doing little protests for his birthday. In Europe. That's it. I think that's like the biggest thing that they're doing. And it's in fucking Europe. It's in fucking Europe. As long as you don't support weapons being given to Ukraine, you don't support, what was the name? Russian Volunteer Corps going into Russia to break it from inside. You don't support any sort of actual fight against the regime. You're just going around and every once in a while you do a little to collect a little bit of money. They're fucking useless. They want to be useless. I am absolutely 100% standing behind every single word about that. They want to be useless. When they did that little Oscars thing, oh my man, that was pissing me off. They do a little movie on him. They do a little filmy film on him. What's their idea on how to fight the Russian regime? Nothing. It's like, hey, look, Navalny is in prison. Come here. Give me some money, so I can put another hashtag on a building in USA, in fucking USA. I'm still pissed off about it. You know how much cash money they collected to put that hashtag on a building in USA? What's the point? What do you think you're doing? USA? They know they're doing nothing but performative little actions. I don't care if he dies in prison. You should, because if he dies in prison, he's gonna be turned into a martyr. They're gonna be getting even more cash money. I see. New conspiracy that Putin was converted to Islam by Kabayeva, and now he executes plan of Islamization of Russia. Ooh, we should support that conspiracy. We should support that. I suppose I'm explicitly exposing Russian chinovniks still having assets in Europe and getting that arrested. Oh, the whole thing with like, oh, we should be more, what's the word? More sanctions should be applied to Russian oligarchs and Russian oligarch possessions still in Europe. I actually agree with that. I think that might be the only useful thing regarding this whole conversation that they are doing. They are not doing it for proper reasons, to be fair. Again, must be pointed out, they're not doing it for proper reasons. They do it because they are against the current Russian regime. They want to replace the current Russian regime. Navalny team is one of those opposition parties that benefits from being in the opposition. So I don't think they're doing this because they actually want to weaken Russia itself. I think they're doing this because they want to weaken the Russian regime so their man could be sitting on the throne instead. So of course I'm not too big of a lover of the team for the idea, but I still think it's a based one, and I think European Union should be following their recommendations on who to sanction next. They have exposed, was there like a huge villa owned by a son of some of the sanctioned people recently or something? I thought that was kind of based. We should really be sanctioning those. But also we should keep on sanctioning Russia itself, which is something that Navalny team is against, but something that I am absolutely for. We can't win back whole Russia as free people. Let us cut some region and make Taiwan style free Russia. Let's support that idea. Which region are they going to take? Which region do we think they're going to take? Kaliningrad? If Kaliningrad becomes the Navalny team headquarters, possibly wouldn't even be that bad. Possibly I wouldn't even be that against it. Grisha said the party he volunteered for. Is it only Russia? Is that what it means? Only did pointless symbolic stuff like making the biggest Russian flag in their city? Yeah, it's like that. It's like that. That's what the Navalny team reminds me of. Like, they're doing nothing, plus they oppose the good stuff. They do recommend some good stuff too, but they oppose some good stuff. It's you know, you see what they want. Oh, one Russia. Another hospital got bombed in Gaza. Ah, shit again. The Turkish Friendship Hospital. Bro. Not unexpected. Still fucking sucks. Can't wait for that UN resolution to go into play, though. I've heard from very reliable Croatian sources today that when a UN resolution is approved, a ceasefire starts immediately, so we'll be waiting, I guess. They hate Putin, I hate Putin. So for now, I'm not pissed at them. Makes sense. I see that. Makes sense. For me, it's like... how to say it? I think their hatred of Putin, for me, is... I'm trying to find words for this. It's like the way Westerners hate Putin. It's like Volkov hates Putin. He has said that Russian regime invaded Russia. At one point, he complains in one of his videos that the world is helping Ukraine fight against an invasion on Ukraine, but the world did not help Russia fight against an invasion on Russia. And he was talking about Putin invading Russia. He has this imaginary little thing of like Putin's regime invading Russia instead of Putin's regime being what Russia is. Putin didn't invade Russia. Putin is loved by Russia. Putin is a representation of what Russians want. And I think I disagree a lot, with Navalny team on that view of it. It's like how some Westerners think that the war will stop when Putin dies. It's like, no, not really, not really. That's not going to happen. That's not really going to be. So I don't know. I think that's what we disagree on. All in all, when it comes to that conversation, Navalny team hates Putin because they want to replace Putin. At least he doesn't support Palestinian genocide. I don't really think that's true. Putin currently pretends like he doesn't support a genocide of Palestine because Putin currently wants to be on whichever side the West is not on. Putin was quite close to Israelis previously, which is why Israelis have openly said they feel very, very betrayed by Putin choosing to invite Hamas into, Moscow. But Putin has also been very, very happy to play into the myth of an extreme Islamist. When he went to kill Chechens, he was playing right into the myth of Muslim extremists. When Russians went to fight on the side of Serbia and went into Bosnia to kill Bosnians, they were doing so because they believed that Bosniaks were extreme Muslims. Russia has no place in its heart for Muslims or any other nation, really. Russia only cares about Russians. Currently, it seems profitable for Russia to be against whatever the West is against. So they pretend to care about Palestinians because the West, is supporting Israel as a state. Russia doesn't really care about Palestine anymore than Russia cared about any other of its supposed allies. What did it do to Armenia? Russia can't care. Yeah, it doesn't even care about Russians. You could say that too. It's a little play. It's a little game to pretend to be on the other side of whatever the West is on. In the same way, Biden doesn't really support a Palestinian genocide. He did do a little bit of a dumbass fucking move by going really, really strongly in support of Israel. There was a bit of a very brave, very strong step. It's similar to what European Union did, Hamas does their terrorist attack. Of course, everyone is disgusted by the terrorist attack, as you should be. Israel is like, we have to respond to this terrorist attack. Allies of Israel go, yes, respond. They have killed your civilians. You have every right to respond in some way. Go do that. Now, Israel then makes it kind of clear that by responding, they mean turning Gaza into a parking lot. And of course, at that point, the support for Israel has started being a bit backtracked, which I think was a correct decision. I think it was okay of European Union to kind of take a step back, to be like, Israel, maybe you're going a bit too far. I think it was also right for USA to take a step back and to be like, we need to think about respecting international law, okay? I think the reactions were okay. I think the initial overtly strong reaction was a bit blind. But it's easy to say that now. Palestinians have been offered peace, but refused every time. To be fair, I think it's understandable Palestinians are a bit salty about the fact that a lot of land that they saw as theirs has been given over to Israel. And the stand, because in the same way that Israel wants to exist as a Jewish state on a land that they see as rightfully theirs, the same thing is true for Palestine. I can understand that they are salty about this. I can understand that they aren't really willing, that Arabs aren't really willing to give up a huge chunk of their land. I can understand this. I don't think this justifies terrorism in any way. I just think we made a very stupid mistake when the British pulled out before first making sure that the borders they drawn are going to be borders that will be respected. They should have left some peacekeeping forces there. They should have done something. What happened instead is Israel got attacked by a coalition of Arabs, had to defend itself, and of course after that, like, when are you going to get peace? How the fuck are you going to get peace now? No, the land doesn't belong to anyone. No one has a historical right to the land. Land doesn't technically belong to anyone. Right? The British had power over the land after World War I ended. The British have promised peace of the land to Jews. The British have then drawn this two-state solution. Arabs have refused to accept the two-state solution. They went in to attack Israel. Israel managed to defend itself. The British owned the lands. Ottomans lost it after World War I. The British owned the lands. Please resign as a stream Israel spokesperson. Yeah, probably. I wouldn't be too surprised. Trump actually said we should kill terrorist families. Okay, yeah, no, definitely. Trump definitely, how to say this? Croatia already has a clown in power, and I think our situation is already relatively damaging. I think the fact that we have chosen a clown, even though we are a tiny, not really relevant country in world affairs, the fact we are being led by a clown is creating a bit of chaos in the international relationships, right? If USA was also being led by a clown, we would be hopeless. We are incredibly happy that USA is being led by someone who is somewhat competent. Because if Trump was in power, we would be fucked already. Trump can't do foreign politics. Trump in no way can do foreign politics. I don't view Navalny team as political entity, but more of a news outlet and awareness spreading force. Navalny has been in jail for like 1,000 days now, and his political views could be much different if he is free again. When real politics and debates become a thing in Russia, then I'll start really caring about them. Oh, I think my position is though that I think if you're not aware of corruption in Russia already, I think you don't want to be. That's why I also see them as kind of just, letting go of the steam. They're not doing stuff, my dude. They're not really doing stuff. Like, oh, we're raising awareness of corruption in Putin's regime. Yeah, of course. How's Croatia not relevant? I mean, we're tiny. We don't really do much. We're a big force when it comes to geopolitics of Balkans, specifically. This is where we are kind of strongish because we border, Bosnia, we border Serbia. It's important to keep good relationships here. Our situation with Slovenia for a while was really, really. But to be fair, on a world stage, come on. Ottomans picked the wrong side. Ottomans did. People don't vote for not clowns because they're not catchy enough. Oh, that's definitely true. Definitely. He's the most famous Croatian? Yeah, that's what I mean, though. That's the most famous Croatian. You don't really have, two strong people on the scenes that makes difference. We're not really too strong. If we had Kolinda, we had Kolinda. We were a bit stronger. We had Kolinda around. Kolinda was really, really good. And then also, Kolinda got out of power. Now we don't have her. We don't have anyone. We got Milanovic. Milanovic is now one of the most famous Croatians in government, and Milanovic is a fucking idiot. We got Plenković. Plenković is kind of based, but Plenković is very... He's okay. He's alright. He's doing his thing. He's fine. I'm gonna be probably voting for that man until someone normal pops up on the scene. If the guys who kicked Serbs, thank you. We tried really, really hard. It was actually a strong thing. Just get nuclear weapons. It's already very hard for us to keep the military that we have, and we don't really have much of it. Getting nukes would be impossible. Also, we're a tiny country. Also, we got issues to be taken care of. Also, we are in NATO, by the way. Croatia is in NATO, so we kind of exist under this idea that if we get attacked, NATO is going to come to our defense. Sane people avoid politics because people automatically hate everyone in position of power. Yeah, it's like that here too, and it sucks. It sucks. I became aware of it when I was really, really young, and I remember watching my father watch the news, and I don't even remember what the politician in question was saying, but he was interviewed or something, like some changes in the school system or whatever, and my father was just sitting there on the couch, and he just goes, "What an idiot. What an idiot, what a stupid person. How is this man chosen to be in politics? He is getting so much money and like he's so stupid." And I remember like as a kid actually like being like, he's saying the right stuff. Like what he's saying makes sense. And I notice it quite a lot. Yeah, liars, bastard, thugs, and they're saying okay stuff. My mother did the same recently. There was a debate on Croatian TV on sex education in schools. And yeah, like all politicians are dumb. See, you're playing into my father's delusion now. There was a politician and she was talking about sex education in Croatia. And she mentioned that statistically, countries that have better sexual education in schools are countries that have lower rates of teenage pregnancy, which is true. So she points out this fact, and my mother is watching TV and she goes, "What a stupid woman, and what a stupid thing to say." And I'm like, "Mom, she's literally correct." And she goes, "Yeah, well, maybe she shouldn't have said it like that." Like what? She just said it normally. She was asked a question about why sexual education is useful. And she pointed out one of the facts why it was useful, like what is wrong. But they legit just want to hate everyone in power. So you get into a situation where people who could actually do something are discouraged from ever getting close to politics. Because the second something like that happens, the second, you need to get some sort of a public appearance, people are gonna hate you no matter what you say. You could be the most based person ever. You could be literally just going to that interview and reading out scientific facts, and they're going to call you stupid. Like, we have politicians every single year when the tourist season is being reviewed. Oh man, it's such a horrible situation. But like every single year, they sit around a little table and they read out statistics for this year's tourism numbers. So it's like, this is how many more people came to Croatia, this is how many people overslept the night. These are the comparisons for percentages for this year and then last year, the same, month. So, how successful we are being, because tourism is a really, really big part of our economy. Every single year, my father's gonna watch this and be like, "How stupid are these people? What idiots are leading this country?" And it's like, they're just reading the numbers. They're reading the official numbers. They have the official numbers and the official percentages are calculated from that. And they are reading that out. There is literally nothing to question their intelligence on. They are reading official numbers. You just want to hate them because they're leading the country. It's senseless. Perfect choice barrier for sociopaths. Oh shit, that makes me even more depressed. And we're supposed to be talking about happy news this week. If North Korea can have nukes, anybody can. On one hand, I would agree with that. On another hand, I don't know how much you know about Balkans. But if one part of Balkans gets nukes, it likely means they're going to use it on Balkans. I would not trust any one of us getting nukes. I would not trust any Balkan country getting close to a possession of nukes, okay? Any one of us gets nukes, all of us are getting nuked. It's the law. It's how it works. They're not going to use it on anyone else. Who do you think Croatia is going to use the nukes on? some actual enemy of ours, Russia, we're not gonna use the nukes on Russia. We're gonna use the nukes on Serbs and we're gonna wipe ourselves out while we do it. It's like, you know that joke? You know that joke? Of a man, I don't know if you have that joke there too, but the joke of a man who found a goldfish, and the goldfish is like, hey, you can have a wish granted, but whatever you wish for, your neighbor's gonna get a double of it. So like if you wish for $1 million, your neighbor's gonna get $2 million, you know? And our man has asked for one of his eyes to be removed from his skull. That's basically it. At least you got out fast if nuke gets dropped. There's that, have you seen that anime about the nuking of Japan? Because you do go out fast, but I would think it's extremely painful for the short duration. We use nukes and find out it's not the end of the world, and now we can use them more often. Oh shit. Nuke being launched using a comically large slingshot, Angry Bird style. I would not be surprised at all. We'll land our nukes to kill little Bosna. No, that's the destroy Bosna option. Because Bosna will nuke Bosna. All the other countries, Croatia will nuke Serbia. Serbia will nuke Croatia or Kosovo. Kosovo will definitely nuke Serbia. Montenegro is going to fall asleep. Greece, we know where Greece is going to go. Macedonia is probably going to go against Greece because they forced them to change their name to enter European Union. Slovenia will likely sell the nukes to Germans because Slovenia is a little bitch and they like cash money. Bosna, though, Bosna is going to use the nuke on Bosna. Whichever part of Bosna you give the nuke to, it has another part of Bosna several meters away from it that it wants to destroy, and it will try to destroy it. If you want to destroy Bosna, you don't need to drop a nuke on them. Just give them weapons and they will destroy themselves. About the time Swedish Prime Minister got unlived in the street, and it's still not sure who did it. Who do you think did it? Who do you think? Who do you think? I would wish for a midlife crisis, so I could say, hey, at least my life's not as bad as my neighbors, and then get back on the grind. I would just wish for a lot of cash money, my dude. I don't know. But like, fair. Bulgaria? Ooh. Oh, I want to say Bulgaria is so corrupt. Like, it's gonna take a week for a nuke to be gone. The government of Bulgaria is going to be like, guys, we're keeping this nuke safe. We're keeping this nuke safe, and we're gonna hide it in this super secret Bulgarian nuke hiding spot. And then, hey, yes, Eislinger, welcome. And then, like few days later, not even a few days later, a few hours later, let's say hour and a half later, journalists are like, hey Bulgaria, can we check on that nuke just to see if it's still there? And they open it, and it's like a cartoon drawing of a nuke on some piece of paper, and it just like plastered to a wall, and that's it. They sold it to some criminal organization to get some cash. New head of parliament in Sonagora is a straight up Chetnik. They do have. They have interesting people. One of their first president, actually, if I'm not mistaken, their first prime minister was a man who organized bombing of Dubrovnik. Is he still around? Is he the new head? I haven't really checked who's the new head. But yeah, he legit organized bombing of Dubrovnik during Croatian Homeland War. So that was kind of interesting to learn about. We might think where Greece is going, but Turkey and Greece might just nuke Cyprus together. Ow! Based. I'm actually, you know what I think is going to happen? My Lord and Savior Hassan has taught me this. What is going to happen is that Greece is going to take a nuclear capable carrying aircraft, and Turkey is going to do the same. So Greece is going to take one nuke, and then Turkey is going to take another nuke, and then they will do dogfights in the sky, and whoever loses the dogfight gets to nuke the other. Heard it from confirmed sources. South Africans? Could be. Dubrovnik doesn't sound like city, but rather like a forest. Dubrovnik is based. Hey, Kushur, welcome to the stream. Kushur, I did pronounce it properly. Thank you for joining. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Dubrovnik is. I wish it was a forest because it would be less expensive. Dubrovnik is expensive as shit. Do not go to Dubrovnik. Listen to me, do not go to Dubrovnik. If you have a choice, go anywhere else. Go to any other place existing in Croatia. Do not go to Dubrovnik. Dubrovnik is way too expensive for a normal person. USA was like, look, we will give you money so that you can find this guy. So of course we hit him as well as we possibly could. Anyone finds him, our income stream ends. Hide him and milk the Americans for some dollars. I mean, that sounds based. Europe will be made up of only microstates? I don't actually think it will. I think we are at a proper position right now. I think we're at proper position right now. Like, I don't know who of us could be. You know, Germany is not going to be crumbling anymore. Who is going to be crumbling? Austria, no. Bosnia, maybe? Croatia, no. Slovenia, no. Serbia, no. I guess they can't really afford it anymore. Who do we have around? Macedonia, no. Greece, no. Romania, no. Romania and Moldova could be joining, I guess. Could see that, could see that. Compared to our countries, Europe already is microstates for the most part. Kinda true. But also, I've taken a look into some of USA states, and some of your states have a really, really low population. In my head, like, I always saw you people as having huge populations in every state, and it's not really like that. Russia, okay, yeah, fair. Russia, yeah, I could hope Russia breaks into pieces. I'm hoping for balkanization of Russia. France is going to stay constant, I think. Spain... I feel staying constant. Portugal, on one hand, Portugal seems really, really stable. On another hand, Portugal is an Eastern European brother. And you know how Eastern Europe is. So when something seems stable, it is not. Portugal could actually be at the most danger of breaking. I don't even know where it's going to break. It will just by the virtue of being Eastern European. USA states population. You think Greece can break? Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't see Greece breaking. Can it afford to break? Could Greece afford it at all? Let me see. See, look at fucking Wyoming having no people in it. Vermont, District of Columbia, Alaska, North Dakota, South Dakota. Look at these losers having no people in them. Having no fucking people. And then like all of a sudden it's war. But until that, it's like no people. It's sad little thing, you people, sad little thing. Eastern European brother is when you look like collapsing, but you look like that for ages. As a Greece. I don't think they ever showed their own instincts. Oh, the Hitler particles. I mean, AfD is gaining power. So I would say you're correct on that. Malta will break into 100 countries. Malta? Malta is never going to break. Malta people seem very united in being a shit country. Most European countries are not homogeneous. in borders of even single country. Oh, like are you meaning to say we mixed around a lot? And linguistically, oh yeah, we mixed around a lot. We did a lot of bengi. We did a lot of moving around. The borders are kind of wonky, and they should be even wonkier if they were to represent real nations. Like we have a part of Croatia where people speak Kaikowski. Kaikowski is a dialect of Croatian. It sounds more like Italian than it does sound like Croatian. We have another part of Croatia, they speak Čakovski. That's Slovenian, basically. It sounds more Slovenian than Croatian. If you are from a proper part of Croatia, which is my part of Croatia, you can't understand either of these two. So yeah, you know, when it comes to drawing the borders, that would be interesting to figure out. "99% of the time, everyone forgets us. Like, come on, we have nukes." But look, what do I tell you? What you gonna do with those nukes? You gonna do something fun like Balkans blowing itself? No? Or what's the point of having them then? You're not doing anything fun with them. Give them to Bosnia. Sometimes technically same language sounds different on the western border and eastern border. Yeah, that was a surprise to Americans when they were talking about Ukraine for the first few times. I remember that. I remember getting one of them in chat here. He was like, well, if you look at Ukraine, you see that people in the eastern part are speaking more Russian, and people in the western part are not speaking Russian. This country cannot exist as one state. Like, my dude, have you ever been to fucking Europe? We got Bosnia here, which is one country with 3 different nations, 3 different presidents. If you go to Serbia up there and Serbia down there, they cannot understand each other at all. Croatia, three dialects of the same language. One of them pure Croatian, one of them Slovenian, one of them Italian. We can't understand each other. We all are very stable as countries. We all exist in our internationally accepted borders. This idea that like, oh yeah, peoples within a country are different, so you know, they should just be splitting into their own countries, that is such a cartoonish little bullshit to me. But it was always, I think what the argument comes from is the fact that USA people tend to have one stereotype for each nation here. And I'm not even, I don't want to make this conversation seem like I'm mocking USA people for this specifically, because we do the same for USA, right? It's like, you know, they talk to you about Alabama, you have certain ideas of what an Alabama person is like. So if you met someone from Alabama and they're like, oh, this is my husband, and you're like, oh, nice, you're cousins then, and they go, no, you will go, are you really from Alabama? Is your part of Alabama just different? Maybe you should move out. Maybe you should separate from the rest of Alabama and make your own no-Alabama country, because you don't fit well with them. You don't fit well with the stereotype I have created. And I think that's what Americans do with all of our countries too, you know, basically. They like created this idea of what being Ukrainian is, and then they figured out that Eastern Ukrainian people don't really fit the stereotype, and then they were like, why don't they just separate from Ukraine? Just blew up a mountain? Mountain. Just look, some people blow up mountains, some people blow up Belgrade. One of these things actually proves a point. But local words for common things, but different in different oblasts of Ukraine. Oh shit, we have that for corn. Corn, an ear of corn, is a word with most different terms in Croatian. That and the fuck, I don't know the English for any of these. The big grabilica. The big spoon you use to take soup. This has a bunch of different words in Croatian. None of them sound similar. It's kind of fun though, because depending on which part of Croatia you hear the word in, you can figure out the influence. Like ours, for example, is Serbian, but also A bit down from ours is Turkish. And then you have the usual Slovenian one, you have the usual Italian one, you have one that is taken from Bosnia. Like you have different words, and you can figure out where the word has come from. It's cute. US is an immigrant country, so they have the same melting pot for everyone, making similar people. While in Europe, those differences are based on historical events. Okay, yeah, also that, yeah, definitely. Top family values. Where else do you saw so big and loving families? Hungarian community in Croatia. One day, one of our Hungarians is going to come to my stream, figure out I'm shit talking them, and going to beat me up on the street. But they genuinely do a lot of Alabama stuff. I'm not even joking. They genuinely are kind of Alabamish. I feel they would fit in. I feel if Alabama was like, hey guys, we're going to annex the Hungarian community within Croatia, we would somehow look into the paperwork and figure out that they already annexed it like 100 years ago. No one just knew about it. What? Who's going to drop the nukes on what? The word Dushman. Yeah, we use Dushman. Dushman is like old Croatian in a way. I mean, we thought it was old Croatian. I thought it was old Croatian. It's not really used in modern Croatian speak. It's used in old Croatian speak. And then I was listening to... my mother was watching that Turkish TV show, Suleiman. And he said Dushman, and I was like, oh, nice. There is no way Hungary is a real place. I'm not, and it's not about Hungary, it's about Hungarian community in Croatia. Because normal Hungarians are normal. I mean, as much as people can be normal and still vote for Orban. Yeah, means enemy here too. It's a cool word. Crazy how we use the same word because of Persian influence. I don't know who's the OG. I don't know who is the OG starter of this. I just know we share two Turks, so that's kind of cool. If I ever go to Turkey, I'm just gonna be calling people my enemy, and that's it, I guess. It's going to be enough. What can you say in Turkish? I'm going to learn how to ask for beer, how to ask for toilet, and how to ask for an enemy. So we'll see where that leads me. Stereotypical word of different Tatars in some countries. Oh, here is just like it's enemy. There's a word I wanna say. Villain. It's villain. I wanna say it's villain. You've heard this reference to Afghanis? Holy shit. No, we use it as like a personal enemy, like you are my enemy. We have a song. There's a song, and it's like if Dushmans steal you, if Dushmans steal his girl, man is going to be really, really sad, stuff like that. I don't know, but it's just kind of enemy, you know. It's like bad people. It means bad people. Doesn't refer to anyone in particular. It just means like bad people. In Hindi, it's Dushman because of Persia. And the Ottomans use Dushman in their songs. Oh yeah, so I guess they all got it. Oh, that would make sense. The Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. That would be great if you like go to visit Turkey as a tourist and that is the only thing you know how to say. A waiter is like, hey, hello there, sir, cringe lord. Would you like some coffee? And you go, well, the Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race. And he goes, guess you don't want coffee. They make coffees in those little... Have you seen those? It's like, it's sand. Look at me now googling proper Turkish coffee and hoping you see the little sand. Proper Turkish coffee. No. No. Yes. Proper sand thing. You gotta see my proper Turkish coffee. This is proper Turkish coffee. It's a little sand thing. It's not this guy. It's like it's kind of often made like that. At least like we saw it in Bosnia. It was cute. I thought it was cute. I have no idea why the fuck they do it like that. I have no idea where it started. But I thought it was cute. Like, he looks cool. We all are in the European Alliance. Illegal word, illegal word. Also, wasn't Aryan also like Joe? Just an, like, did it have a base? Because I'm pretty sure they just like made it up. When it comes to the Mono-Germans, they stole the old term and then they influenced this one. So, could you technically refer to yourself as one? If you change, nah, you can't. If you use similar words to them, no. Excluding Jews, Romans, Slavs. Hey, by the way, I have to tell you something about Croats. Do solution like in Ukraine, Russia, Palestine, Israel? Wait, what are you talking about? Who cares about the borders? Huh? Persians were based. Very convenient to keep several. Jezva. Do you also say jezva? Do you also say jezva? Looks like diarrhea in a pan. No! It's actually really, really good, really, really hot. And it's good to get the coffee that hot really, really quickly. I don't know how these ones are. I don't know what this is. This looks like one of those American videos.
In 2019, we attended the first ever German Ibrik
Europe.
Championship organized by Supremo.
Okay, this is maybe actually good because it's European. I saw a TikTok. I have to find TikTok of an American making coffee, and at the start he goes, "I like really strong coffee, guys." And then he like filters it and filters it more and filters it more, and then puts it on something that like heats it up, and there's like more filtering happening. So like droplets are being basically at the end it looks like tea. So I don't trust Americans anymore when it comes to this. It looks like tea. It's like literally transparent. And the fact it took him like I think 30 to 45 minutes to make it. Fucking illegal. You make one of these in 3 minutes.
I'm going to introduce you
Jezva.
to Turkish coffee to you today. It's a new way and contemporary approach to traditional brew method.
You should not take over other people's states just because they are strong.
We will start with
That's why both sides should have
7
states.
gram coffee. I'm going to weigh.
UN participated in Bosnia-Croatia war. The Serbs prevented the attack. Wait, the attack of whom? Aryan shit? That's because Nazi Aryan shit was hocus pocus. But I'm guessing the OG Aryan word used for people. By people from themselves wasn't hocus pocus. Nazi one was though, that was bullshit.
Powder fine, because we don't have any filtration for this method. Coffee grounds in the cup needs to settle down to the bottom. That's why the coffee grind size is supposed to be very fine. Difficulties of this brew method, the over extraction with fine ground coffee and no filtration can get easily over extracted. After we grind our coffee, we pour into the pot 7 grams. Today we are going to use 1 to 10 ratio, 7 grams of coffee and 70 grams of water. I pour slowly.
No scientific basis for categorizing people on race.
And water
Darwin side.
I'm pouring the water.
So gajillion years of science says racism is gay.
Not a rule,
Yeah, true.
but it's a good start and adjust your recipe. After I pour the water, I stir maybe 10, 15 times.
Yeah, like Aryan
Not
maybe
more,
previously was
because
used as a word
More stirring,
to self-designate, but I
increase the
think now if you were to use
extraction.
it for yourself, it would likely
and
mean
I start
Hitler
my brewing
particles,
and my timer.
which you know
For
may or
one
may
cup
not
size
mean
brewing,
someone's
I
gonna beat you
prefer
up
to
deservingly.
Finish around
2
2
minutes?
Longer
Huh.
brew time, again, it increases the extraction. So around 2 minutes,
He has a
the
cute little
coffee will create foam, extract,
jezva
and the foam
thing.
and coffee will reach to the rim. Unlike the
Oh, it
traditional
is.
brew method,
Okay,
you don't
he's doing the art thing basically. The way I understand it, he's doing an art form. Usually, I don't know if you did. Did you ever make this at home? Do you make this type of coffee at home? Cause what you do is you just like put it into just while you put it to boil. That's it.
Did you know the first ever cup of coffee was brewed
This
in the
doesn't
Middle
look like.
East? In the 15th century, Sufi
This
mystics
doesn't
in
look
Yemen
proper. This
imported coffee
doesn't
medium
look
to light
proper. Why does
colour.
it look like that?
Every country roasts their coffee milk chocolate color, means to really
There's
infuse
something
into the
wrong.
liquid and turns the grounds into part of the drink, can cause the coffee to split. Having a tall, narrow pot means there is less surface area that absorbs heat, and the coffee is less likely to boil. This one is the size of a single 100
Instant
milliliter serving of coffee, and this other one makes 2
Nescafe
servings.
made by
I will link some of
Nestle.
these down below for you to purchase online. If you don't want to buy one, you can try using the
Rank-based
smallest pot you
survey to
have
ask people
and
about the
control the heat by
Israeli-Palestinian
suspending
conflict.
the
Oh yeah,
pot on the
definitely. I would
stove.
love to see.
For the
I would
ingredients,
love
you
to
first
see. I
need
would
to
love
measure
to
your
see.
water. Get a serving glass that is about 100 heat to medium.
What is he
If you
trying
have
to
a-
do?
In truth, you need to practice a few times before you truly understand what to watch for, as there's just a few seconds between perfect crema.
Oh yeah, this is one of those things. This is one of those things. No, it's not about you being an uncultured swine. It's about you being a pinnacle of human evolution. Because I don't really know how you survive that. Americans have taxpayer money shit, but it is based mostly about when there is something like plant flowers, renew road, or make some shit film. People like buy military shit. Oh, I think we're using our tax as well, though. I think we're doing very useful stuff. I think we're doing better than USA when it comes to this. I do wish we were a bit more. A bit more defense focused, definitely. But I think we're doing alright. I think our self-identification. Does he have Croatia? Wait, can I solve this? Can I solve this? Am I sharing your content around? Are you going to copyright strike me? What's your faith? What would you define your stance on faith? Atheism, I guess. What is this? Was nope on the one when I asked if I am allowed to do this. I believe God exists. I'm not sure. No, I don't think he's here. I don't think he's here. Important part. I like this part. I like getting into some sort of statistics. Why is the Israeli-Palestinian conflict so popular? It seems to be more important than any other conflict of the 21st century. Why do you think this is the case? Rank these contributing factors with the topmost idea being the most important. Ooh. Whoa, wait, okay. Okay. War on Terror. Narrative, okay. Ooh. I want to say anti-Semitism. Ooh. Religious significance? Media coverage is... Man, I want to put humanitarian concerns. It's like, I don't think any of the people pushing this into conversation give a shit about humanitarian concerns. But then, I also don't really think they give a shit about colonization of Palestine. But I think they give even less of a shit about historical Palestinian rights to the land. Because I don't really know, basically, how you would claim Palestinians have a historical right to the land without claiming Jews have a historical right to the land too. Like, how far does a historical right go before historical right is overdrawn by another nation that has replaced you on that land? How far? How far? When is the cutoff point? Are you a Hassan viewer? What do you think about Hassan? Do you think he's kind of cute? You can admit it. You can admit it. I basically look. I genuinely think the top two are just these. I genuinely think these are the top two. I don't know if I think anything else is as strong. Not even religious significance. I don't think is as strong as just like anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. Because when you look at people talking about this, it seems like mostly they are really, really into hating either side because of their religious views, right? Yeah, I'm thinking if media coverage plays into that. I'm thinking of maybe doing media coverage. I think media coverage also plays into war on terror narrative. But like, does media report... Does media report negatively on Jews because media wants you to hate Jews? Or does media report negatively on Jews because you already do hate Jews and they know you're going to click? Trinity? Yeah, actually. Oh, don't... If this had one of those like thingies, I would put it top. I don't think anti-Zionism matters because, again, I don't think people know what anti-Zionism is. But also I think they do think they know what anti-Zionism is. So I guess I want to keep it around the middle because it itself doesn't play a part, but they think it plays a part because they think they know what it means. But it's actually just anti-Semitism. But this sounds like I actually think it's American imperialism, and I don't. I don't think it's American imperialism. I don't think American imperialism has anything to do with this. What do I think? Do I want to put this one a bit around anti-Zionism? But I feel then that would fall into the historical or religious significance. Religious significance, maybe that goes a bit up too, now that I think about it. Humanitarian, I don't think people care about humanitarian concerns. I stand behind that. Oh, but you. Oh, okay. I scroll down and down takes it as okay. Big drivers of unrest in the region. Ooh, biggest drivers of... if I put existence of Hamas and existence of Israel, I don't want this to sound negative. I just think countries around Israel don't want it to exist, so Israel daring to fight for itself to keep existing causes them to be angry. Attacks by Hamas on civilians, attacks by IDF on civilians, yeah, both. Israel expansion in general, Israeli expansion into Gaza, Israeli expansion into West Bank, existence of Palestine. Do we think existence of Palestine is causing unrest in the region? It isn't, right? Or? Existence of these two, I think, should be up. Existence of Palestine is not driving unrest. Palestine should be existing. Does huh? Israeli expansion there? Oh, I don't know how I would put these two. Would I put it like this? Can't pin that. You can't? Why not? Why not? Wait, me neither. Oh, I can't pin anything. How do I pin messages? Delete, timeout, ban. How do you pin messages? Am I blind? Why can I not pin messages? I was able to pin messages. No, I can't find it. Oh, that's kind of sucky. That kind of sounds. Yeah, I can do nothing. Against Zionist extremists, exist against Hamas extremists. Peace. Two-solution. Israel and Palestine. Yeah, but like no one wants to agree to a two-state solution. No one really wants to go into it. Hamas has said that they will accept the two-state solution for a ceasefire. They will accept it for a truce, but then they refuse to accept Israel as a state anyway, as they keep on referring to it as a Zionist project. At the same time, Israel did say that they do agree with a two-state solution, but they have gone to expand a little bit. When I say a little bit, I mean quite a lot. So it seems like both sides are trying to say that they would be okay with a two-state solution, but I don't think anyone really would be okay with a two-state solution. I'm not really sure it would work. I don't think Palestinians are necessarily, the problem in all of this as much as Hamas is, but there is a question of how much Hamas really is a big part of Palestinian society. Oh shit, what do you think? Bro, I could put one state secular, but like, is that going to happen? Is that going to happen, really? Yeah, but like Hamas, even when they say they are willing to consider the borders, they do say that's the truth one, isn't it? They say they're willing to accept the truce in those borders, but they still do not accept Israel as a country. They still refer to it as a Zionist project. I don't really think as long as you consider Israel to be a Zionist project that you want to be fighting against, I don't really think you can really have any sort of lasting peace. Wish they could have a secular state. They're not going to have a secular state. Israel, East Palestine, West Palestine. How would this help? What would be the benefit of splitting Palestine into two countries? Would there be a benefit? I think it's gonna be two-state. I want to make these two both 0. I want to make these two both 0 because I think both of them are shit. Now, man, I kind of wish it was secular, but it's not gonna be secular. It's impossible to get it to be secular, is it? If Hamas says, okay, we totally accept Israel, what bargaining chip do they even have for the negotiations? But like once you accept the two-state solution in specified borders, why would you need a bargaining chip like that? It feels like it's like just continuation of a conflict then, isn't it? Like what changes? What sort of meaning? I can't figure out how to put it in words, but like what sort of a meaning does it say I accept a two-state solution if you think one state isn't real? You know, like I accept the existence of our state and the not state fake entity. I want to put secular as the top one, even though it's unrealistic. Can I put secular as the top one, even though it's never going to happen? Just like, yeah, I wish. How emotionally attached are you to the conflict? Not too much, I guess. 1 is utterly callous to everything. 10 represents a visceral reaction to both. I'll put it somewhere here. If Hamas accepts Israel, they want something in return, like no more expansion into West Bank or blockading Gaza. Yeah, but like if Hamas accepts Israel and accepts the two-state solution, and Israel stays true to that word, which like we don't really, I don't know if they would, but they do keep on saying that they would agree with the two-state solution. If Hamas accepts Israel and accepts the two-state solution, and Israel already is saying it accepts the two-state solution, I would assume that further expansion into Gaza further expansion into West Bank would already be seen as inexcusable, because at that point it's invasion onto another state. Like if they have defined borders, so they agree on, Hamas and Israel both, if they agree on these defined borders, and crossing over these defined borders is an invasion. I don't know if you would need a bargaining chip for that, as much as you could just like call it an outright invasion. When talking to the opposition, which of these emotions do you feel unjustly thwarted? Oh, I want to say hopeless. Because like I think my opposition are both the people excusing war crimes of Israel and excusing war crimes of Hamas. And I think I feel hopeless kind of seeing them. I think hopeless is the word. Angry? Unjustly thwarted? Solution to the conflict is be nice to each other. Also abandon all religion, but you know. Gaza and West Bank together as Palestine seems impossible without open borders to Israel. Would Palestinians agree with being split into two though? Like, I guess. I don't know if they would like the idea. Who do you think has it worse, Gaza or the West Bank? I mean, right now, I'm pretty sure one of them right now is they're already split into two. Yeah, but it's like the sense of them being one peoples persists, right? But if you were to actually officially split them into two countries, this would be gone, and they would be two peoples. They would be two states. And I don't know if they would agree with that. It's different when you're like, oh, this part of my country has been unjustly separated from me, but we are the same people. But this part has just been unjustly separated. I think that's different from like, oh, this is not my country anymore. This is my country, and then the other part which has been separated from me unjustly. That one part is not my country anymore, that is another country now. I don't know if they would like agree to that, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, on a psychological basis, I guess it would be different. Even if both are under Palestine, like one country, it would still be, yeah, impossible for them to actually have certain communications. So they would still be separate, but like psychologically they wouldn't. I wanna get statistics from this. I wanna see what most people say. Geopolitical dick-waving competition through this three-state solution. Gaza could be under American influence, West Bank under Chinese. But then I feel like that wouldn't be fair because Israel is already under American influence. No, see, you would be giving Americans too much power. I feel like you are leaving no places for Croatia to actually take and rule over. I feel you're being a little bit selfish. Can you ping my location? I guess no. Most people are too scared to talk about the conflict with nuance due to fear of ostracization. I'll take the CSV and analyze the relations between two factors. Ow. I wanna know. Is the CIA we are recruiting? Oh, nice. That's fair. What's my paycheck going to be? Because I want a nice one. And also I want 2-3 days per week. The world learns not to invite US into your country to fight a war. To be fair, when you say the world, you obviously don't mean Balkans, because if we have learned anything, it is that USA is the side that's going to bomb Belgrade. I'm just saying. I would invite USA into this country to wage a war in a heartbeat. If USA needs a point from which to shoot their missiles into the heart of Moscow, I would give them my backyard immediately, and I would just hope they chunk a few of them into Belgrade again. Wasn't a civil war? Fair. Civil war was not specified. But yeah, true. See, I said I wish. You know how much cash money the CIA people probably get? I wish I was. We could see 4 launches. Ooh. Why? If Ukraine taught me one thing, every ally is unreliable as fuck. Best build your own capacity to wage war, and you can only rely on yourself. Okay, I see that. That's kind of fucked when you're, you know. A small nation under attack from someone bigger, and there's no chance for you to defend yourself, really. Okay, if Ukraine didn't give up their nukes, it would have been different, right? Only nation where she started a war then lost. Consider Germany, though. Consider Germany. We started like 4 and only won 1. Okay, that's also fair. Germany quite famously, started a war. And then, Hitler ended the way he ended. We can be praying to the God up in heavens that Russia has a similar ending. By the way, who asked about Arthur? I wanna see Arthur. Also, someone sent good news. Fuck, I actually opened the good news thing previously and I saw the same piece of news. It was this one, wasn't it? Dog of war finds loving new home after cheating death twice. Twice he did it, look at him. Heartbreaking footage captured the mixed breed pup clinging for life in the rubble of a building after the Kakhovka Dam in Kherson was destroyed. To avoid drowning, Henry managed to doggy paddle to the remains of a bombed-out building poking out of the floodwaters. Henry was found collapsed, exhausted, and barely conscious after the dam in Kherson exploded. Not a fan of wording here, but okay. Henry was one of the dogs that was pulled out of the floodwaters, covered in oil and sludge. There was a lot of toxic material at the bottom of the reservoir that washed out with the flood. We thought this dog was all black, and then he was cleaned up, and actually he's more white than black. Henry! Ah, he's cute. Ah, he's looking soft. And then the animal clinic caring for him was bombed by Russians. See, better wording here. The animal clinic caring for him was bombed by the Russians. Good wording, bad wording, good wording. They learned along the way. Henry and other animals escaped unharmed, and he was moved to another clinic where he continued to receive treatment. Good boy. He is in a loving new home thanks to Save the Dogs and Other Animals, a charity supported by Blue Cross's Ukraine Pet Welfare Fund. Kind of funny how they name themselves Save the Dogs and Other Animals. Like maybe just Save the Animals would have been alright. Maybe just save the animals. Why do you need to specify dogs first? What is the reason for that? Oh, okay, Anya though. Anya said when the Russians blew up the dam. I saw a video of Henry and my heart broke. See, Anya based. Blue Cross Ukraine Pet Welfare Fund raised over £500,000 to fund and provide support to cats and dogs left in Ukraine and for owners fleeing the country with their animals. Save the Dogs sent almost 1,000 tons of food to dogs and cats in Ukraine, and they've sterilized more than 1,300 animals to avoid a surge in strays on the streets. That's really important. I'm very, very happy they're taking care of this. This is very, very, very important. What's going on in Ukraine with Russia right now? Russians are still being pieces of shit. That's basically what's going on right now. They're still being pieces of shit and they're dying way too slowly for my liking. I can tell you that. We can watch Arthur's. Arthur is a bit too positive for me lately. But we can watch Arthur's review of the entire situation. There's probably some new, fresh, completely fresh news. But, yeah, strong fight still ongoing. Strong fight still ongoing. Westerners are still being pussies, and I'm not too happy about that. Hummus? Ah, maybe it's intentional. How do you know it's not? Maybe they intentionally changed the way it's pronounced. You never know.
It is Monday and so much happened on the weekend. See, I don't make military updates on the weekend, and immediately when I try to rest on Saturday or Sunday, Zelensky is like, boom, boom, we're gonna do everything right now. What am I talking about?
Thank you, Zelensky.
Well, the Ukrainian SBU Special Forces raid into Crimea, the Ukrainian liberation of one settlement in the Kherson area, riots in Russia, and many other topics. We're gonna go through all of these one by one.
Is he talking about riots? The way I think he's talking about riots? Yeah, he is.
Today,
Great.
we're going to begin with the SBU raid into Crimea. This is reported by Rebar, the Russian biggest military blogger, and you can always be certain these things happen when Russians are reporting Ukrainian attacks on their settlements, because usually they don't want to report them. Because
This is not true, by the way. This is not true. They do this occasionally. The reason they do this occasionally is so they can say, hey guys, the Ukrainians attacked this settlement, but we have heroically fought them off. They claim they lost a part so they can then claim that they have actually won the part back, so they can pretend like they have more power than they do have. So it's not really true. This wouldn't be the first time that they're doing this. It wouldn't be the first time that they're like pretending there's action in some areas and that Russians are holding on well in these areas. It genuinely wouldn't be surprising. Like, oh, Ukrainians have tried to surprise us by staging an attack in this area that we didn't expect it in, but we have quickly managed to chase them off. So basically what you want to remember is never to trust a Russian. Bruce Babish, a bit riled with the Russians. Yeah, there's something about the hairstyle. There's something about that hairstyle. I don't know why he does it. I don't know why men do it. And I don't know why this man does it. There's a reason for that. Yeah, pussy Westerner. I swear the next sanction will actually hurt Putin and the oligarch. I'm not even asking for that. I'm okay with it just hurting Russians. Just like make it hurt properly. Make it hurt like it's supposed to. And not this pussy ass little pain.
It's kind of a Russian
Oh,
failure.
Russians can't have
if a
fancy
country
bags
without
anymore.
a significant navy, like Ukraine, is able to attack Russian-occupied positions in Crimea. The report states that 2 ATACMS. Americans don't want Ukrainians to use these missiles on Russian soil. Hey, but Crimea is not Russia. It is Russian-occupied Ukraine. Also, in addition to these 2 ATACMS, 3 unmanned
Hungary and
boats or
Slovakia need to be
drones
kicked
were
out,
used.
though.
And it gets better. Also, a Storm Shadow was used. So all
Kick
the
them out,
best
and then
Ukraine
we can
has,
do sanctions
ATACMS,
properly.
Storm Shadow, and unmanned boats or sea drones. All of these attacks happened in 2 different locations in Crimea. Cape Tarankut, this one right here in the settlement of Olenivka, and then Rebar reports that these sea drones hit Sevastopol. There are 17 Russian wounded servicemen, and the Russian anti-air regiment was attacked. Also, 5 cars were damaged. What I really want to know if these cars are the Western cars, Mercedes, BMWs, or Ladas.
What do you think?
You can repair or buy again in Russia. A BMW, you cannot repair or buy again in Russia because they don't export there anymore. But now, my friends, we'll go to the Kherson area, the Dnipro area, and there are huge changes in the Russian leadership of the army group right here. Well, first of all, there are huge issues for the Russians right here, because I'll zoom into the settlement of Grinki on the Russian-occupied side of Dnipro. There are reports coming from the Russian side, actually, that Ukrainian special forces liberated this settlement yesterday. Now, it is a huge loss for the Russians because the Tsar ordered Ukrainians beaten out of that side of the Dnipro, but it's the opposite. Ukrainians have been able to enlarge in their bridgehead. And this is why the Tsar has reacted. How? Well, here it is. I'll read it to you. The commander of the Dnipro group of troops, Kherson region, Colonel General Oleg Makarevich, was removed from his post. Colonel General Mikhail Deplinsky was appointed to command in his place. Oleg Makarevich was removed from his position based on the result of his reports to Moscow from our intelligence, which brought to the high command the facts of the discrepancy between the results on the ground and the information that came through the command of the Dnipro group. Is this guy, he was sacked. He was not able to push the Ukrainians back over the Dnipro, and the Ukrainians even liberated another settlement, so we have a general sacked. I mean, will he fly out of the window? He hasn't done so yet, but Putin is a man with very slow hatred, very slow revenge, so give him some time, okay? Now, of course, the Russian issues in this area cannot be contributed to only one general or the leadership. It is the fact that the Russian High Army Command has pulled everything valuable or anybody who can actually fight away from this area to strike Kupiansk or Avdiivka. Also, Ukrainians have pounded the logistical network in the area, so Russians really have huge attrition issues here. What I can assume from that is that General was really painted as a scapegoat for every kind of issue Russians have in the area. In the Russian army, you need scapegoats every now and then to put all of the problems under one guy and throw me out of the window, and you're good to go for another month, and then you need another scapegoat. This is why Russian army command changes positions all the time. Look at this photo. Putin, and who is this guy? Commander Teplinsky, the newly appointed commander of the Dnipro army grouping of
Checking on the
Russia.
troops.
Basically the leader
Nice.
of the entire Dnipro operation of Russia. And his goal
CIA
now is
ones.
to push the Ukrainians back over the river, or he'll fly out of the window. Easy, simple. Ivan, don't complicate things. But what did this guy, the last commander who was just sacked, have to say about the new commander, Teplinsky? Well, I'll read his report to you. Ukrainian fighters, I can say one thing, hang yourselves. He's one of the most competent generals in our army. Makarovich added that the replacement was most likely due to the extreme lack of initiative of the command in this direction, ignoring the situation on the ground and sweeping what is happening under the carpet. He's blaming his subordinates that they swept it under the carpet. Well, he was the leader of the army grouping. He swept it under the carpet. The fish rots from the head.
Ooh.
And now, my friends, where do we go? We go to Donetsk,
fish
of
idioms.
course,
Very
Avdiivka. The
stunning.
battle is still ongoing, and this is why Kherson region for Russia is doing so bad, because everything and everybody who can actually somewhat fight has been transferred to Avdiivka to be used in these convoy meat assaults. We have new videos, new information and reports today, and I'll read you the first one, coming from the Russian side. This is Vostok Z, a Russian serviceman in the area, and he actually writes pretty truthfully. I like what I'm hearing. I like always reading where I know that these are Russian lower servicemen who don't have the necessity to lie, because they directly suffer through the Russian command structure. So here is where we get the truth. The guys from our company asked me to write this post. I am not a supporter of writing about failures and losses, because this works into the hands of the Germans. Actually, the Ukrainians, for some reason, they call them Germans, because for them it's like the World War II again and fighting like their
Germans.
grandfathers against the Nazis. Don't ask me, that's how they cope with stuff. But the situation is tense. So, what is a meat assault? This is any assault by infantry forces without artillery support, without suppressing enemy firing points. Why is this happening? Mostly due to the lack of means of suppression. So, the lack of artillery, the lack of air superiority. Basically, he admits that they don't have anything else or any other capability, so they use what they have, which is biomass, humans. Human life is cheap,
Nice.
a BTR is more expensive. Or the inability to properly manage the support. When two regiments attack side by side,
It's basically, hey, Russians. Soldiers are replaceable, but BTRs are not.
the junction between them is practically unsecured. Everyone hopes for their neighbor, or one has tanks and artillery and the
Love
other
it.
one doesn't.
It's like, it's a complete opposite to, you remember when Ukrainian tanks got destroyed? And people were like, oh yeah, of course tanks got destroyed. Like they're supposed to be used on the battlefield, but if you look at the pictures of these tanks, there's no dead bodies inside. So that means that all of the people who were driven in them, they managed to actually get out. So the soldiers managed to escape, even though the tank was destroyed. This is like the complete opposite of that.
But the order to take the fortification is there. This is a very
Man.
great fact here that I want to elaborate on. Two regiments attack side by side. It takes an entire army command operational department to coordinate an attack of many different units that have to work together, because the gaps in between of these units, they can only be fulfilled and secured as good is your communications, the overall understanding. of the
Ukrainians do
situation
talk
by
about
the
it a lot.
command
I think for people like Arthur, reporting on these things is not beneficial, because you kind of want to be raising the morale, so you don't really want to be doing what's the word, balanced reporting. But I do follow, I think, was it Spaghetti recently, writing a lot of threads about how Russians have been shelling Ukrainian positions day and night and how it's a hell down there. How many people have been dying just in the last few days, for example, stuff like that. How many drones Russia has been using, because they are using a lot of drones recently. They have gotten a lot of drones. So I do think if you follow, especially if you follow soldiers on the ground, you will see a lot of people making, you know, in the similar way that Russian soldiers are writing about problems in Russia, Ukrainian soldiers are writing about problems in their own military. It just does get less reported on. Like when it comes to disposable troops, for example, I saw people talking recently about how we all focus on the fact that Russia keeps on sending meat waves, but we don't mention the fact that Russia is still making gains. Like, it's small gains, sure, it's not really big gains, but it's some gains, right? They are sending meat waves to soak up these attacks, so like more, you know, meat can be sent after them. They are doing this, that is true, and it is causing them a lot of civilians are lost. A lot of civilians, holy shit, soldiers to be lost, definitely true. But it still does get them some meters more of territory. And as long as they have enough soldiers to be sacrificing like this, they're going to be getting some meters in territory. Sure, like, you know, these meters are going to be paid in a lot of blood, but Russians can afford that. For a while, they are absolutely okay with paying in that currency. So, yeah. Oh, I do agree. I said it before watching the video. I do think Arthur is lately a bit too positive for me. I think he's a bit too. He's like Thompson. Thompson is also very, very positive in my eyes. I think both of them are trying to be very, very good news oriented when it comes to this. I can respect that. I think it's important to follow positive news in moderation, and also never stop donating and never stop helping, and keep on being aware of how dangerous the situation is on the ground. Now I have to click on my links. Does feel uncanny sometimes. It's like, does he know? He probably knows, right? He probably knows he's being a bit dishonest. He's probably aware. Oh man. I do wonder what he will say about Dagestanis though. Doesn't do good at all to all the soldiers. Yeah, it's Dobson and Anastasia had a conversation about this, and I think that was the first time where I actually like got kind of salty about the dude's opinions, because Anastasia works with real soldiers daily. She talks to soldiers daily. She does interviews with soldiers very, very regularly. You know, Anastasia is down the ground, and I trust her. I trust that woman. I would trust that woman with my life. Thompson, I don't think is that involved in actual communication with the military. As far as I've understood it, I don't know if there's like something I've been missing, but from what I've understood, he doesn't really have as much contact with soldiers as Anastasia does. And at one point of their conversation last time, she was like, oh, it's kinda, she basically said it's not really okay to be making these jokes about Russians all being stupid and Russian military being stupid, because it minimizes the actual danger, right? You go, oh, Russians are so dumb, oh, Russians are unable to fight against us, oh, you know, Russian weapons are so stupid, or they're too stupid to use them, or whatever. You know, it's minimizing the actual seriousness of the situation, because people see these jokes and people are like, ha ha ha, Ukraine's gonna win this easily. And it will not. And she pointed this out to him, and he kept on arguing back about how, you know, it's all for fun and Russians are all stupid, and, you know, he should be able to say it, stuff like that. And it just kind of felt like, you know, you're speaking to a person who interviews soldiers on a regular basis. I'm pretty sure if soldiers on the ground were happy about these jokes, like they would be saying that. They obviously aren't, because it does genuinely minimize it. Like, if you're being a soldier down the ground and you're doing your best to try to survive amongst shelling, and then you like look online as to what's going on in your free time, and it's people being like, Russians so stupid, they can't even use equipment. And you're like, bro, then who the fuck is shooting at me? You know, who the fuck killed so many of my colleagues? Like, come on. Of course they can use this equipment and they can make it very, very deadly. Be aware of the danger. Minimizing it and being so delusional, it's not really helping anyone, is it? Yeah, that's true, that's true. It's just deluding yourself into the idea that Russians are not a dangerous enemy is not really a smart path to go down on. So I think we should be careful when we do it. It's okay to acknowledge that they keep on adapting and that they are a very dangerous enemy. It's okay to acknowledge all of this, you know, while still acknowledging that their methods aren't really the most aren't really the best ones. Let's say it like that. Brutal is far more accurate. The meat wave tactic is like an example. Use the conscript with zero training to draw enemy fire. Some more trained soldiers, specialists, like snipers, drone operators, machine gunners, can't target the enemy. Oh yeah, that's true. That's true, that's true. Trivializing, yeah, that's a good way to say it. Does a negative to the cause because people might actually believe it. Yeah. And then you're not aware of how dire the situation is, you know? And then you see one of those fundraisers and you're like, oh damn, I just have like a little bit of my paycheck left in my account. Maybe I could. But it's the Ukrainians. They're gonna easily win this. I can afford to wait another month for a donation. I can afford to, you know, spend this on myself and then I'm going to be helping them next month. I can afford to not call my politicians now to get Ukrainians more help. I can afford to, you know, not be doing as much as I can, because the situation really isn't that serious, is it, guys? Like, Ukrainians are smart and Russians are stupid. It's not really gonna work. It will be a grind, yeah, definitely. I'm pissed off if 16s are taking so long to reach us. I'm genuinely pissed off. Air superiority should have been assured months ago. People believing it's an easy win would be terrible in that sense. Yeah, that's true. Mass procrastination, I think, is a good way to say it. Yeah, I don't think we're aware of the danger. I do think if we were aware of the situation on the ground, and if we were more aware of how dangerous the situation is, I do think we would be much more pushed to action, but, you know, we're not, are we? West is already unsure what to do. Yeah, the West is interesting. I think the West, ultimately, I want to believe that in a case it gets really, really dire, I think they would be willing to step in. I don't think that's good enough, though. But also, I'm coming from a... I don't know. I think we're late by, like... almost 10 years. Like, if we stepped in immediately after Russia invaded, immediately if we stepped in and beat their asses and pushed them back into their shithole, still, if we then imposed sanctions on Russia and forced them to be paying reparations to Ukraine for the next 3 generations, still they would never be able to repay the damages. And we allow them to just continue for almost 10 years. They'll never repay this. We're not even aware of how much damage we have allowed them to cause. We'll never get any of this back. And we're still not doing anything to stop it. We're just allowing the cost to get higher and higher and higher. We're not doing shit. It's a sad little situation. Yeah, I should have stopped them in Chechnya. I wish we had the balls to do that. They can be 10 times more stupid if they have 10 times more people at arms, yeah. You know, whether it's stupid Russians taking their positions or average intelligence Russians taking their positions, it doesn't matter when they're taking their positions. And they're managing to do this because they are willing to sacrifice a lot of their men, and they have a lot of their men. A thin book if Sam and Frodo had F-16s. A very fat book if Sam and Frodo had F-16s. But had to do lots of diplomacy and go through education. Oh man, that too. Thin as the book if Sam and Frodo refused to sign the Budapest Memorandum and give up their nukes. No book at all, my dude. Gets taken by Ruskies, a lot of their injured people die on the field. If person cannot leave combat on their own, they will not re-enter the war in the near future. So there's only a waste of resource to save and heal for Ruskies. Oh. Oh shit, so you are only worth to be helped if you can leave on your own, because that means you can be helped quickly and then you can be sent to the grinder again. Even Russia had columns lined up on the border before February 24th. West could have done something. Yeah, we did nothing. We had so many chances and we did nothing. So many fucking chances. What did we do? Absolutely fucking nothing in any of them. And now we're just allowing it to continue. I think that's the worst part. It's not just about the chances that we have passed on. It's about the fact that there's more chances popping up and we're doing nothing. We don't support the depleted uranium ammunition provided by the West, so we will fertilize the fields. Carbon in neutral to negate it. Russian executing a wounded soldier took all his stuff. Aye.
Then 600 days of war, Russians keep listening to the state TV. Even those Russians who are...
Wait, what? Destiny and Vosh. Oh, interviewing. Destiny and Vosh? Interviewing an American politician. He said that politicians don't really read letters or calls about stuff. They only care when they see a visible interest in something. Huh. So I guess people should emphasize public demonstrations in support of Ukraine over calls to politicians. Like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. You know why I think that makes a lot of sense? I've seen a Twitter post. And it was made by a communist. I don't remember that stupid username. But they were commenting on how to get politicians to act more in the Israel-Palestine conflict. And at one point, one of their pieces of advice was that you have to call your local politician, but if you have anxiety when you are supposed to do the call, then you should call at like very late hours. So you get one of those automatic bots to respond to the phone call. And then you can just like give your message to this bot, like you can tell that, you know, you want the government to be more active in solving the Israel-Palestine conflict. And then, you know, like you don't have to actually speak to a real person. You're just speaking to an automatic response. And it's such a... Like, you think a politician will give a shit about answers you gave to an automated device? No, they won't. You think he's gonna go? You think in the morning he like goes into the office? It's like one of those old movies. And there's a notification popping up and it's like, you have 6 messages. And then he clicks and then he listens to all of these losers talk about their solutions to the war. No, he doesn't listen to that. No one fucking listens to that. Of course they don't. So your message makes a lot of sense. I guess they would actually be more into people who are genuinely protesting because it shows real interest. And it shows you're willing to go out on the street to do something. Any fucking loser can write a letter. Most American youth are so half-assed about Ukraine. Thanks, Hassan. It's... yeah. I don't even think it's just Hassan, but yeah. Russia sends people with less education to Ukraine because they willingly go, you know, protect the motherland. if there ever will be time when low education goons are all dead, then they might have a problem. The thing is though that Russia has taken a... Russia is used to not funding their republics properly. So I'm sure they have a lot of low education people going around because, you know, in some of these republics, the situation with the school system is rather interesting. I think they're kind of prepared for this. They'll never run out. Wait, someone made a video addressing one of your questions?
This video was brought to you by Ground News. So in this video, I want to talk about why the
So in this video, I want to talk about
Israel-Palestinian
social
conflict
security, how
seems to have such a hugely outsized presence in the world's imagination. Why this foreign conflict, more than any other, seems to be the one that everyone cares about, often in a highly emotionally charged way. You probably know some relationships that have been torn apart by it recently. This amount of worldwide passion can sometimes...
To be fair, I don't know any relationships torn apart by this because I am fucking based. So everyone I have talked to, I have managed to turn to my fucking based side. I know no relationships that have broken over this. When you're actually involved, country like Finland, you get money for just existing. Ah, shit, I'm moving to Finland. I'm going there. You know some relationships that have broken over this? Damn, I don't. Damn. My boyfriend's not really into politics. He does this thing where like, he's like, hey, tell me what's going on. And then I tell him like what's going on in the conflict, and then he knows. And then when he is at the workplace next time and his co-workers start a conversation, he has all the best takes because he hears them from me.
feel a bit disproportionate given not that many people even live in Israel-Palestine in the first place.
Disproportionate.
And notwithstanding the recent
What's it going to be? Social media?
The amount of death and displacement
I just
that the
stopped talking
conflict
to
has
dumbasses.
produced remains considerably lower
Smart.
than that of many other...
I think we have different ways of dealing with that. Because like while you do the smart thing of stopping the conversation with the masses, I have this thing IRL where I think I do the Jordan Peterson thing with them. I think I do this thing where like I throw a bunch of facts at them and then they think I'm absolutely fucking based on everything ever. Now that I think about it, I think that's also why like today we had a conversation about the UN resolution that Croatia voted against. And they were like actually interested in what I had to say. I think it's because I know the documents and I know the years of like several events. So when we were talking about, for example, Russian invasion on Ukraine, I knew them, and no one else knew they existed because they'd never really looked into this. I'm a fucking nerd here with no life. So I kind of chunked all the names at them really, really quickly. And he does the Jordan Peterson thing. You know how people think he is smart because he uses big words? I think I'm doing the same.
global conflicts, including
I make
those
them
in
as
other
confused.
parts of the Middle East. And I don't say this to minimize anybody's suffering.
Ikrefolk?
Obviously,
Oh,
every
I'm
life
sorry for
lost
that.
to war or terrorism
I'm sorry for
or
that.
oppression is a tragedy. But it is an objective fact that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is very much not the world's worst war zone and never has been. So interest in it is driven by more than just basic human empathy. So, why? Why is there free Palestine graffiti here in Vancouver and Israeli flag?
No, it's not that it's smart. Most people who talk about it are either Muslims who have a religious zeal for Palestine, or Hindus who see Israel as another country facing Muslim aggression. So it's a vibe based. Being a relationship therapist, and some couple asked you to fix their little Israel and Palestine disagreement they had for the last 70 years. Hey, that would actually be, it would be a good comedy movie. You could go through like several different conflicts. Man, you could make a TV show with this. Explaining geopolitics to people through a lens of a very badly functioning couple. I feel that would be great.
flying in Northern Ireland? Why are there thousands of people marching in support of Israel in Argentina and thousands more marching in solidarity with Palestine in South Africa? Ever since the October 7th massacres and subsequent expansion of the war in the
Foundations
Gaza
are
Strip,
so deep.
I have
Okay,
noticed
yeah,
a lot
fair.
of relatively
Fair
apolitical
comparison.
people in my life scrambling to educate themselves in an attempt to answer these questions, and there are certainly no shortage of educational videos and articles out there offering to help. But in my opinion, a lot of this stuff tends to fixate too much on the history of modern Israel, which implies that understanding the conflict is mostly a matter of learning a bunch of names and dates of war. Ending the
Ben!
conflict is most
What's Ben's opinion? Who watched this? Did someone watch this? What's Ben's opinion? What does he say? I wonder what he would be like. Is he a supporter of USA actions outside of USA? He's not one of those isolationism fucks, right? I feel he wouldn't be. Would he be supportive of Israel? Ben's opinion is praised. Like, yeah, he's one of those right-wing people, but he's not against the West. Surprisingly, not against the West. Weird little man. Everything is anti-Semitic and Israel is always right. I mean, it is Ben. He has to be a bit
matter
extreme.
of learning a bunch of names and dates of wars and treaties.
Extremely
and
emotional,
prime
I can see that.
ministers and that sort of thing. And I just
Oh,
don't
he
think
knows
that's
these
the case
people?
at all. The
Oh,
reason people are lighting
shit.
up monuments with the Israeli flag or
Then I can
holding
see it even
free
more.
Palestine marches in Roblox isn't because they have deep opinions on the justness of Lord Balfour's Declaration of 1917 or whatever. No, the reason people care so much about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, the reason people of all races, religions, and nationalities feel the need to express themselves so stridently on this issue occurring thousands of miles away, is because, to much of the world, the conflict has come to be understood primarily as a sort of metaphor for what people perceive to be the fundamental themes of power that define our contemporary world. So today I just want to run through some of those themes in the hopes of maybe making the meta story of this conflict a bit clearer. But please keep in mind that I'm going to be primarily talking about the perspectives of people
So many
who
toys,
are
yeah.
located
I want to
outside
get a
of
wall like
Israel,
this.
Palestine
I want to get
itself,
one of those
obviously, the
fake
passions of
Pokemon
people
walls
whose lives and
and just throw a
families
bunch
are
of shit
directly
on it.
affected by the violence of the conflict don't require any
So whenever someone joins the
analysis to
stream, they could be like,
understand. It is why everyone else
Is
cares
that
I think is the more
a
interesting
bust
question
of
to explore.
Tito, life size.
Okay, so one big reason is the America
Let's have a
angle.
conversation
Israel
about
is a
it.
strong ally of the United States, the most powerful country in the world. It has become a stronger and stronger U.S. ally over the course of the last few decades, receiving a lot of American military and financial support, and is generally a cooperative and supportive strategic
I like
partner to
the
the United
music.
States and the Middle East. As a younger man, President Biden once quipped that if Israel didn't exist,
Were there not an Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel to protect her interest in the region.
And all this means that people's opinions on Israel are often heavily bound up in what they think about US foreign policy more broadly, and even the United States itself. If you think that US foreign policy is generally respectable and America is a country that is broadly motivated by the pursuit of global peace and stability and freedom, then Israel is easily defended as an important assistant in pursuing these goals. This tends to be the disposition of people on the center or center-right of Western politics, who are generally deferential to American geopolitical leadership. However, if you think that US foreign policy and the US in general is mostly a force of war, exploitation, and authoritarianism in the world, then you tend to see Israel as just another odious American-backed regime committing human rights abuses with Washington's active knowledge and consent. The harshest critics of US foreign policy tend to be found on the further left end of the political spectrum, both in the developing world and the Western world. This has been the case since at least the Cold War, when a certain left-wing argument was popularized positing that American foreign policy consistently favored the rich and powerful over the weak and oppressed.
Noam
Since Israel
Chomsky.
is a rich and powerful nuclear-armed nation state and the Palestinians are poor and stateless, it is not difficult to fit their conflict into this frame and judge America for siding with those who need less help. A similar but distinct phenomenon is the idea of understanding the Israeli-Palestinian situation through the lens of anti-imperialism. This is the idea that relations between countries is fundamentally defined by an exploiter versus exploited dynamic, in which one group of people conquer, oppress, and subordinate another group of people for their own benefit. Often, these are people who would otherwise have nothing to do with each other. One group simply wants to take something that the other group has, usually resources or land. The decision to conquer, in turn, is often informed by racism and prejudice. One group sees the other as inherently inferior to themselves, therefore making conquering and exploiting them no big deal. In the eyes of some of the people who believe imperialism to be the primary explanation of how foreign relations operate, the founding of the State of Israel in 1948 is seen as basically an imperial exercise. Israel is depicted as the creation of European Jews who migrated to the Middle East, displacing the native Palestinians, taking their land and making them into a second-tier class of person. A lot of Israelis heavily dispute this characterization of the creation of their country, but we're talking about a lot of disputable arguments today. Many of the people who have been protesting on behalf of Palestinians lately have been using words like decolonize and settler, which are terms that evoke the idea that Israel is akin to a European colony or empire. A lot of these people are fond of calling Israel an apartheid state as well, which is a reference to the system of extreme racial segregation imposed on the black people of South Africa.
Fun fact about this, I asked some Croatian yesterday what apartheid means and he didn't know. It's kind of... It's one of those things that you just like see mentioned here and is the same word in Croatian as it is in English. So I think a lot of people just kind of picked up on it and they don't really know what it means. It doesn't even have a Croatian term. Like we don't have a term. We just say apartheid like USA, like English uses it. But I asked him to like define me what he means by that and he couldn't. So that was kind of fun.
By its small white minority who were the descendants of Europeans who had moved to Africa over the course of the previous 3 centuries. The political leadership of the Palestinians, for its part, has been very keen to present itself to the world as leaders of an anti-colonial resistance. The late Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat, in particular, put a lot of effort into forging alliances with other world leaders who define their politics as being part of an anti-imperialist struggle, including Nelson Mandela, Fidel Castro, and the communist rulers of Vietnam. And this remains a very popular way of looking at Israel in significant parts of the global south to this day, often in Muslim countries, but notably also in certain countries with far left governments like Venezuela and Bolivia.
The youth in Venezuela, the youth in Iran, must know that the world of the future will be a just world without imperialism.
As well as among students, academics, and other activists who have made anti-imperial or anti-colonial theory central to their worldview. All right, now let us talk about the big one, anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is irrational hatred of Jewish people. It has been called mankind's oldest prejudice and has been around in some form or another for hundreds, if not thousands of years, overlapping with the long history of the Jewish people themselves. In modern times, we tend to think of anti-Semitism as having a fundamentally conspiratorial character, which is to say it posits Jews as having a lot of secret power over everything behind the scenes, and using this power to be deliberately evil and selfish. The existence of the State of Israel has accordingly been incorporated into a lot of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, claiming that, you know, the Israeli government has made puppets out of all the world leaders.
Oh shit, this one.
Sort of giant conspiracy between Jewish politicians and journalists to spread pro-Israeli propaganda to the masses. And if your worldview posits that
Where's Destiny?
pro-Israel
Oh, they put Babylon B on it? There's Babylon B on it? Oh, it's a list of like all the Jewish people. Babylon B. Lips of TikTok. It's like the most chaotic. Loomer? Man, I kind of just recognize a bunch of these people out of memes and that's it. I don't know who most of these are. Gays Against Groomers? What's that? Destiny's 100% Catholic, is he? He's kind of a hoe. I feel like that wouldn't go well with Catholicism. He skipped the connection between Soviet Cold War propaganda objectives and the modern far left. I do wonder where he is going to go, though. But I think anti-Semitism is a really, really important part to mention. I also think I have no idea who most of these people are, but I really, really want to check them out now, because if they're as chaotic as the ones I do recognize are, this is a ridiculous list. This will be funny to watch.
Israeli propaganda to the masses. And if your worldview posits that Jews are inherently bad, sinister people, then you'll logically support anything that helps weaken or destroy the world's only majority Jewish country. In the 20th century, we came to associate anti-Semitism with right-wing politics, in part because the most viciously anti-Semitic government of that century was right-wing, and in fact explicitly demonized left-wing politics as a manifestation of the supposed Jewish plot to ruin everything. In many Muslim countries, right-wing anti-Semitism is still common and is often bound up in conservative religious and nationalistic attitudes. But in Western countries, it is becoming increasingly common to argue that anti-Semitism is becoming more of a left-wing thing. The argument goes
it could be.
As Christian and conservative arguments in favor of Israel, which we will discuss later, have proven quite persuasive to people on the center-right, right-wing anti-Semitism has become an increasingly fringe movement in the West. At the same time, however, the rising popularity of anti-Israel arguments on the left,
trying to show a coordinated Jewish agenda, but it proves people are divided because of how half of them are conservative and the other liberal. It could be trying to say, though, that Jews are trying to create conflict within the country, I would guess, right? Because it's like, hey, look at these people constantly fighting each other. And what is weakening America? The possibility of a civil war, which happens because we have a lot of our people unable to live with each other. So they could be. I guess that's kind of the claim that they are going. But I guess that would be a bit too.
Anti-imperial ones we mentioned have made anti-Semitism at least more theoretically compatible with the agenda of some of the more strident left-wing factions. Attempting to distinguish anti-Semitic arguments against Israel from fair and non-prejudicial ones is something that a lot of people spend a lot of time fighting about these days. All right, now let us talk about the War on Terror.
Incels?
So the War on Terror is a term associated with the defining theme of American, Western, and in some ways global foreign policy in the aftermath of the terrorist attacks
so they get
of
no
September
bitches.
11, 2001, in which Islamic fundamentalists leveled the World Trade Center buildings in New York City, killing thousands. Those attacks really heightened global awareness of radical Islamic fundamentalism and made Islamic fundamentalists seem more unsympathetic and dangerous than ever before. Eliminating the violent threat posed by Islamic fundamentalist terrorists became a huge international priority, with a lot of people viewing this group as the biggest organized threat to world peace and security in the 21st century. This fear only increased following other
See how a few Jews in power is enough for them to be convinced of how Jews run the world.
Global war on terror truly
in a similar way, they see a few bad women and they conclude all women are bad.
Easier to understand
actually, yeah.
For a lot of people,
because you just focus on those who fit
that much attention to it.
Your idea.
Palestinians are overwhelmingly
confirmation
Muslim,
bias, isn't it?
Community of Muslim fundamentalists.
And then whenever they
Palestinian
find a new bad woman, they just add her to the list in their head. But all of the women who they have met who don't fit the list, they're just gonna forget about.
The enemies of Israel come off as the enemies of other countries that perceive themselves to be under similar threat from Islamic fundamentalists as well.
Today, the United States stands shoulder to shoulder with Israel in defense of our common civilization and against common threats.
Here is another big one, the legacy of the Holocaust. So it's not difficult to argue that World War II was the pivotal event of the last century, the orientation point around which much of our modern world is organized. And there is no event more central to that war than the German state's systemic murder of over 6 million European Jews. This methodical and extraordinarily deliberate genocide of Jewish Europeans was an event so monstrous and horrifying, it invited the world to
Only
engage
guy in
in
a class of
moral
25
reckoning
women?
that
Oh.
has basically never ended. The post-war establishment of a
Prime
safe
time
and
for hoeing
independent
around.
Jewish
I'm
homeland
just
in
saying.
the former British colony of Palestine, and critically, the active support and encouragement of this new country by much of the world was seen as one of the most important ways
Prime
that
time to do a little
mankind as a whole
destiny and
could
be a
offer atonement
manslet.
and restitution for the crime of the Holocaust. World War II was a long time ago, but there are still Holocaust survivors living to this day, many of whom wound up in Israel, including at least one person killed
Oh, shit.
in the October 7 massacres.
I
What
just remembered this
means
news. I wanted
is
to ask you if you
that
read
to
it.
a lot of people, especially Jewish people, the Holocaust is still very much seen as being relatively recent history, with many of the global conditions that justified the creation
not
of a
help to
safe
anyone.
Jewish homeland still
Everyone would
being
love to
very
be
much
surrounded by
present in
women.
our
You
contemporary
woman
world.
hater.
Certainly, if you believe that the greatest threats facing Israel are motivated by organized anti-Semitic groups and movements, then defending Israel becomes the most important way that you can honor that famous motto that emerged in the aftermath of the Holocaust: never again. Anti-Arab racism. Like Jews, Arab people
True.
have long
Also
been on
important
the
to
receiving
mention.
end
True,
of
true,
their
true,
own
true, true,
targeted
true.
form of prejudice, though
Wait. In China, they sell books about how Jews are powerful, but the books are instructive in nature. It's more about around the lines of learn from the Jews so that you can replace them. It's like that book. There's a book existing. Shit, I read it in my true crime phase in the high school. It's a book on sociopaths and how many sociopaths exist in the higher levels of society. Like how many of them are work really, really well paying jobs and stuff like that. And the book was about how to behave like them so you could also get that position. So it was like a normal person does this, but this is how a sociopath approaches the situation. Learn from that. What could we learn from this? What does this show to us? And I was like, oh nice. It was an interesting one. It was recommended to me on Reddit, and now that I think about it, that's not unexpected at all, is it? All guys ignore all girls and vice versa. So I sit in the back silently and just read it on my phone. That is kind of sad. That is kind of sad. I feel hoeing around my help in that situation. HR, even better. It may give you some practice. That's really useful. You have to learn about these very complex, interpersonal relationships if you want to be a good HR person. Become a sociopath? Yeah, I was going through like all the ways not all the ways on how to become one, but like all the ways to behave like one. So like this is how a normal person deals with emotions when they get rejected, but this is how a sociopath deals with it, and this is why they are more successful. Group study sessions. When he says group, he means you and one girl. Watching Netflix.
one less elaborate and conspiratorial than anti-Semitism. But that is quite revealing unto itself. In many parts of the world, Arabs have simply been stereotyped as unimpressive and uncivilized, violent and ill-tempered. Upon the outbreak of the war on
Lots
terror,
of racism
there
in this.
likewise became a rising tide of prejudice against the religion of Islam, with hostile parties asserting that Islam...
By the way, we could do a whole fucking week of streaming on this, but it's ridiculous how much this is getting worse in Europe the more we go on. So our racism is getting worse and worse and worse and worse. We have researchers on how racist we are in Europe. Eurostat collects it, and it's bad. The situation is bad, and so is the situation with our Islamophobia. We are very, very horrible on this. 4chan? Mostly because they're obsessed with women. What, really? 4chan? Huh. Part of me wants to go to 4chan just to see. Just to see. I want to see. I want to see what they're saying. Feel no empathy towards Russians. 194 nations more, and I'm as successful as sociopaths. You're close, you're close. Is it 2005? No, but it's 4chan. I feel it's gotten way worse than it was in 2005. In 2005 it was just gore. I remember being part of the 9gag side when 4chan and 9gag had wars, but 4chan was just gore. It was just gore videos. It was just like gore videos on sex mostly. Islamic world referred to the Crusaders as Franks, Greek, Roman, while the Crusaders just called them all Saracens, Arabs. Oh, Crusaders were like, I don't care. I don't care about the specific is. I'm taking land from these people. I'm going to defeat them all. Who cares what group they actually come from? Stop browsing 4chan because everything is about women. You could go to the international section made for geopolitics and they're still talking about women. The average post is like, do women in your country cheat? Oh shit, no one on 4chan is getting pussy. Like, not a single person in 4chan is getting pussy. That is goddamn ridiculous. 4chan has great memes and hentai. I feel like great hentai is like one of those things. What's the word for that? Well, like two words don't match. Like, it's still hentai, it's still a cartoon. How good could it be? I'm a hentai hater. I know some hentai viewers. Okay, I know some hentai viewers. It turned me into a hentai absolute hater. Despiser, you could say. Oh no, Odessa, bro. I woke up because I heard a couple of distant explosions. Does anybody know what happened? You are under attack, retard. Well, that's fucking cruel. That's fucking cruel. I mean, I see the answer. That's just fucking cruel. OG ethno-nationalist, militant, racist. First thing they did was murder all the Jews in the Rhineland. It's actually considered the first battle they had. Oh shit. Okay, are you okay? Hentai is an art? No. No. Some people trace the history of anti-Semitism all the way up to the Holocaust. Does that event? Huh. Why would you start tracing it there and not like even earlier? With like the Bible? Hentai is not art. I've seen art. No. I don't count it. Sometimes I go on hentai. I go on Reddit and I see hentai and I see how shit it is and I start hating it even more. I've started pointing it out to that. Look, there's a group chat where they are often sent, and I started pointing out the way that their anatomy is all bad, and they're not too happy about it usually. But like, have you seen hentai anatomy? Because it's people who have never seen pussies. I swear to God, hentai is made by people who have never seen a pussy. Hentai is made to be consumed by incels, and it is made by incels because no one in that group saw a pussy IRL. It's horrible. I hate it. Before it was more really mean stuff about Jews. That was the first massacre. Oh, could be that. Could be that. So like, there was anti-Semitism before. Sorry, it's kind of late. I'm already like mixing up everything. The clock has changed. But there was anti-Semitism before. It just wasn't marked by massacres until then. I know more girls that love hentai than guys. Really? Huh. Okay, I got a guess, and the guess are tentacles. That's my guess. The guess are tentacles. Because tentacles could probably be better lovers than any man can. I could see it. I don't know a single girl into it. But I could see it. No, if you... no. Look, there's one thing I hate more than hentai. And that's normal hentai. Okay, you watch straight shit hentai, you should be thrown into prison. If you're gonna watch hentai already, at least like watch some tentacles. And I'll watch some robots fucking, I don't know what they do that. Watch some, what's the name of those ones? One specific ones. I have the specific category. Someone taught me that few streams ago. One of you losers mentioned it. The one where they are anatomically horrible. Anatomically, they are very incorrect. That one, you know, if you're gonna watch hentai, at least watch that. But don't watch like normal ass hentai. Why would you do that? Don't know any of these abominations. You're lucky. You're lucky.
Was a fundamentally violent and terroristic faith.
I mean, we could say that the actual live action is not much
human rights
closer to truth than hentai is.
That Muslim Arab culture was one in which indiscriminate acts of murder against non-Muslims were inevitable. People who see the world this way tend to be found in the West and sympathize with the Israelis because they project their own prejudices onto them. So Israel's conflict with the Palestinians becomes understood through a kind of crude racist binary in which the Israelis are good and civilized and the Palestinians are savage and bad. This sort of binary framing has of course been common in all sorts of wars throughout history. But I would say it has become less common in recent decades, making the Israeli-Palestinian conflict feel unique. In that sense, you could argue that the racist people and the anti-imperialist people have a bit of a symbiotic relationship in how they view the conflict, in the sense of validating each other's assumptions about what's motivating the other side. Both of them are often inclined to view the Israelis as white, for example, which is a classification many Israelis themselves reject. Anti-Arab racists tend to be right-wing, but not exclusively. Very atheistic left-wing people can often be extremely anti-Islam and view the Israeli-Palestinian conflict as a similar clash of civilization versus barbarism, though I guess technically that would be more of an Islamophobic frame than a racist one. And lastly, let us just talk a bit about the role played by Christianity and religion in general.
Hey, I'm interested in this.
I stand before you as a strong supporter of the Jewish state, not because I was elected to Congress, not because I'm a Republican, not because I'm a conservative, but because I am an evangelical Christian.
Devout Christians the world over have become some of Israel's strongest supporters in recent decades, and it's a phenomenon that sometimes startles or confuses people a bit. Christianity, after all, is a religion that explicitly regards Judaism as being an incorrect faith in several hugely important ways, so the alliance isn't necessarily self-evident. Many strict Christians, however, believe that the Bible describes the Jewish people as enjoying a certain divine favor in the eyes of the Lord, as well as having a divine mandate to rule certain lands in the Middle East, as described in the Old Testament.
We know that you love these people. We know that the Jews are your chosen people.
Who are you?
So we bless Israel, Lord. And we pray that we would be a blessing to them.
So, Lord Jesus, I just ask that you would give us your heart for your chosen people, God, that you would pour out in our hearts a
What's
love
that, like a TV
for the
show?
nation of Israel.
And this is obviously a view held by many Orthodox Jews as well.
American, huh?
There's a faction of evangelical Christians who get
Texas.
a lot of attention for believing that Jewish control of some portion of the Middle East is necessary to hasten the arrival of Christ's second coming and the end times.
You're seeing Bible prophecy fulfilled in your lifetime, in real time, before your very eyes.
And this has played a role in motivating the anti-Israel side as well, with secular and especially aggressively anti-religious people arguing that too much of the Israeli-Palestinian debate is bound up in faith-based appeals to scripture. In many Western countries, devout Christians tend to be allied with conservative political parties, which is
Okay.
one of the reasons you can generally take it for granted that the Western right tends to be pretty firmly pro-Israel. It's not the only reason,
Okay.
but it is a significant one. On that note,
True.
there also exist devout Muslims whose scriptures posit their divine mandate to control certain parts
Spicy
of the
takes. Do you know
Israel-Palestine
some?
region, specifically the city of Jerusalem, which Israel currently uses as its
Christians
capital.
are kinda-
Many Muslims around the world accordingly
I don't know if
view
it's
Israeli
because I'm
control of
surrounded by them,
Jerusalem
but
as a
Christians
serious
worry me the
offense to their
most.
faith, and sorting out how to divide or share the city remains one of the big sticking points in negotiations over the so-called two-state solution, in which Israel and Palestine are split into two independent countries, thereby ending decades of war and political stagnation. So I hope that is a relatively sufficient overview of the main contours of this debate for anyone who is
Contours?
not already sufficiently fluent in it. You will notice I didn't bring up a lot of specific names or dates or events because honestly I do not think they really matter all that much. Based on my
True.
observations, how outsiders choose to interpret the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has much more to do with someone's political and ideological and religious priors than the ups and downs of the conflict itself. That said, I do think that
Could see
the
that.
October 7th massacres and the Israeli response in the Gaza Strip does feel like one of the more substantial inflection points in the long history of this conflict, and a sequence of events that is now testing a lot of people's previous assumptions and perhaps even causing some to break down a bit. If you are interested in challenging your own priors, I recommend today's video sponsor, Ground News. This is an app I have installed on my phone for a long time, and I have found it can be especially helpful in times like these when society
Which one of you losers uses Ground News? Is it good? Is Ground News okay? Part of me really wants to be using it. Part of me is like, no, I like having money. And I need to save money. But also I kind of wanna go there.
feels so unhelpfully polarized. Every day, Ground News aggregates thousands of news stories from the world's leading outlets and classifies them ideologically. Their blind spot feature
Like I really
lets
should.
you observe what stories are either being ignored or amplified by right or left-leaning sources, presumably to validate the
Pornhub. Elaborate. Is the only thing I have in my brain right now when you say using Pornhub as a news source is that meme clip of like someone scrolling Pornhub and then he reaches a video of a football match being played, and that's how he learns that his team has lost, because it's like it's basically like this team getting pounded by this one. That's the only thing I have in my head right now. I don't know what else it is. There's news on Pornhub? Wait, like, legit? There's math lessons in porn? Wait, do you mean like when a teacher fucks the student, you can look at the board? Are you talking about that? Or do you mean like actual math lessons in Pornhub? There's not actual math lessons in... I don't want to check. Actual math tutorials? Bullshit. You're bullshit. I actually want to go check. I'm actually gonna go check. I'm gonna end the stream soon. I'm gonna go check. Bullshit. Straight up math lessons. Who holds them? Porn stars? What about porn news? Do they get like porn stars? So like every day what she reads the current news? With her titties out? What do you mean? Why would Pornhub be having... No, this is a lie. Some people rabbit out the quadratic equations. How? Navalny? The more we talk about this, like I just had this 10 seconds ago, I had this revelation and I had to go look up in chat, and yes, we are actually talking about Pornhub. And now again, again I had the same feel of like, are we talking about the same website? Like when they say it and when I say it, do we imagine the same logo? I'm not really sure we do. I'm not really sure we do. Oh, what is this? Do I want to see it? Film of the Anti-Corruption Foundation. He's not a demon to you. Published under the title Russian corrupt politician fucked hard. He was talking about some millionaire, Alisher Usmanov. Oh, okay, and then the court said that the court satisfied Usmanov's claim for protection of honor and dignity. So Navalny needed to remove some publications about the billionaire, but Navalny refused to do so, and then he published the video on Pornhub. Usmanov sued the politician and demanded that he refute the facts stated in the investigation of the Anti-Corruption Fund. Usmanov demanded to remove accusations of non-payment of taxes and statements about billionaire's criminal past. Oh, at the end of last year, Pornhub was added to the list of sites banned by Roskomnadzor. In April 2017, restrictions were lifted. 2017, okay. Russians didn't have Pornhub for a while. Better post tutorials on Pornhub. At least you don't get 30 annoying ads there per video. We're gonna start multi-streaming to Pornhub, I guess. Now that Twitch allows multi-streaming. Maybe people there wanna learn about the geopolitics of Europe. Who the fuck knows? Oh, this is ridiculous. By the way, I'm leaving. It's already really, really late, and also the clock has changed. I don't know how it is where you are, by the way. But the clock has changed. The time zone is fucked. I have been sleepy the whole day. I've slept for too long, and now I just can't function. So I'm hoping to fix something there. I'll probably set anti-ad. Hey, how? What did you do? What did you do? Give me some tips. Help me. Help me. We changed clock on Saturday. Unironically, I don't know when exactly we did it. I know that my sleeping... could be actually because I had mad headache on Sunday. And I usually have horrible headaches when I've been sleeping for too long, but I wasn't really sleeping for too long. I was sleeping for okay amount of time. So could be that. But basically, yeah, we switched it up and I've been feeling horrible ever since. So I'm hoping to get some good night's sleep. By the way, this week is my birthday week, so it's going to be chaotic. Okay, so just, you know, keep that in mind. We're having a village fair thing on Wednesday, so I will see what I will be able to do on Wednesday, if I'm gonna be having a bunch of guests over or not. Same thing for tomorrow. I'm gonna try to update you as soon as possible, but then Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday we're going to be having streams as normal 100%, so I'm kind of hyped about that. And also I'm hoping to do some birthday streams then. I don't know what I'm gonna do them on. I'm probably just going to collect like a bunch of genuine good news. Euronews did a new overview of like all the environmentally good news that happened in the last month, stuff like that. So I'm guessing it will be like a good little, we're gonna have a little shred of positivity, and we don't do that often. It gets dark now at like 5 p.m. That too, it's weird. It's weird. It's a weird little thing. I read the newspapers today and they said that in was it Iceland? That like they refused to change the clock, but one village has agreed to do so, and I've been thinking about that for like a bigger part of my day. Like, how does one little village agree with switching the clock but the rest of the country does not? How the fuck does that work? It's a stupid little thing. In European Union, every single year they're like, hey, let's have debates over this, over whether we should do daylight savings time or not. Let's have debates over this so we know whether we want to ban it. And every single year we have conversations about stopping to do it, and every single year we don't. We're fucking ineffective. We need to figure out a way to be more effective, is what I'm saying. We need to figure out a way to get people like me in power, because I would just scramble everything around to make it more interesting, and I feel that might be the best course of action, actually, so but also I'm fucking leaving. So yeah, Thursday, Friday definitely streams. We will see for the rest of the days. I will update you. If you have some good news, send me good news. I'll try to collect as many as I can, because it's my birthday and you gotta be happy, okay? You have to be happy with me. Orban? I feel Orban just feel he's a little pussy. uBlock Origin? Malware, annoying things, social media, regional. Oh! Gonna try that. I'm gonna try that one maybe, because it's annoying like this, and it's also annoying because he like, if I play a video in the background, he automatically starts the ad, and then sometimes it's one of those ads that just never stops, so it just continues going. If there was a way to automatically skip it after 5 seconds or however long, I wouldn't even care that much, but like, I listen to music sometimes in the background and an ad starts and it just goes on. And goes on. And goes on forever. It goes on until you die. Yeah. But also I'm fucking leaving. I have to actually go. Go eat something good. Go eat something tasty. Drink enough water. Stay strong. Okay. And yeah.